Everybody, gamers, what's going on? We decided to do another show tonight. So welcome everyone to PM in the PM. That's right, it's back. It's Thursday. Mav and I are here. You see our beautiful faces. I literally just walked in the door 10 minutes ago from an hour-long drive due to snow. But we are here. It is Thursday, November the 17th, 2022. Thank you all for joining us, whether you are joining us live right now or whether you are somehow in the future able to listen to this through your favorite audio platform or rewatching it on YouTube, whatever the case may be. We love you all, and we're happy to have you here. We've got some topics tonight. Phil can't stop opening his mouth. If you saw our thumbnail, you know what we're talking about. He is interviewing everywhere, so we got some more juicy bits there. Yeah. And we got a bunch of other little topics as well. But before we get into all that, of course, I got to introduce my co-host, who is the owner of this channel, the big man himself, the boss man, coming down, Ted DiBiase. That's right. It is none other than Fun Speculation, a.k.a. Mav, the $1 Million Man. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's up? $1 Million Man. No, yeah, wish. What's up, everybody? How's it going? In the chat. We're gonna have a fun show today. Yeah, dude, we've been having some fun last night with some Warzone. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
So that was a lot of fun. We had it was me, you, Steel's brother, Titanium Kate, and Psycho ended up joining in, and then I played a little bit of DMZ with Psycho and Jasper to finish the night off. So that was fun. We're having a blast with Warzone yesterday. Other than that,
did you like DMZ?
I don't know yet, because we only did like one match, and it was extremely easy. So I don't know if that's like what to expect.
Did you run into any other live people?
No, Jasper said he's played like 4 or 5 matches and hasn't run into anybody in DMZ yet.
Ooh, this sounds like a nice spot to collect some easy XP.
That's what I think it is going to be. It's like an XP grind thing, because we just walk around and killed a bunch of like guys. Now Jasper did say there's parts where like it can get a lot harder, like places you go and stuff.
Sure.
I think obviously the longer you stay in, the more risk you take, and the harder it could potentially get. But
makes sense.
Yeah. We went in with 3 objectives and was easily able to get through those objectives and got quite a bit of loot, and then got out. Got lots of kills. It kind of feels like a nice casual fun mode to play right now. You know what I mean? But it's not like nothing like Warzone. Right. I was expecting to run across people and stuff, you know.
Right. That's the way I thought it was too from the descriptor.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a thing that's part of that mode. I think just the amount of people with the size of the map, it's just going to be, you know, not every match that you do run into people. So it's interesting what DMZ is doing. So we'll see. You know, Battlefield's coming to Game Pass on the 22nd, I think, or 23rd.
Did you watch that new trailer, bro?
I did, and it's amazing. That tank, like the railgun tank or whatever it is, that looks fucking awesome, man.
Where it lowers itself down to the ground and kind of sinks itself in, getting ready to fire. Oh my god.
Yeah.
They are the best. They are the masters at advertising. Battlefield always has.
How do they do those trailers though? Because it's not what the game's actually like, but it's like looks like the game, and so it's like it's kind of like a blend. It's like a cinematic.
Yeah, they do the blend,
like the game.
and they do it perfectly, because they got done with the part where they blow up the I want to say Pelican, but it's not a Pelican, but you know what I mean. They blow up the troop transport, and then they cut to actual gameplay. Right. So it all kind of melds together, right? Yeah. So fantastic.
Other than that, man, Vampire Survivors. Been playing the shit out of that. I hit a level 138 last night.
Mav, I think you're just playing it because you want to be cool. You just want to be a part of the
I've seen people say that, man.
Yeah, people, you don't really like it, Mav. It's not a good game. I mean, just look at it. It's just not.
I'm willing to try anything, and if something clicks, it clicks, right? And Vampire Survivors clicked. It's super addicting. It's deep. You know, there's a lot there to explore and find out about the game that keeps you engaged. This is the first game in like years that I've actually taken the time to open a wiki on and learn
Right.
things. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it's
Yep.
crazy. This simple looking game that has no business being as good as it is has actually caused me to like keep a wiki page open while I'm playing it. It's insane. So I'm loving the game, dude. I've been posting some clips, and I think my goal when I'm playing is not to like get as far as like to have the most craziest amount of effects on screen at once as possible.
Yeah.
Uh, and once it almost melted my Series X.
You've been doing a good job with that, by the way.
Yeah, it just looks crazy, bro. I'm like,
Yeah, it does.
it's amazing though. It's fun. Vampire Survivors has like what it is to me is like it's created a 30-minute loop of a full RPG experience within 30 minutes, right?
Right.
Because you start out with nothing, you make decisions along the way, you level up, you grind, and your ultimate goal is to become like an all-powerful badass, right? And you have an end, right?
Yep.
So it's like a repeat satisfaction of what we love about RPGs, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So it's the fact that they created that is amazing. And people look at it and say this little 8-bit like style retro looking game. But let me tell you, the graphics on this thing are not anything to be shaking a stick at, because the amount of effects on screen, the amount of enemies on screen is nothing I've ever seen before. You know,
Crazy.
the amount of calculations that must have be taking place and everything is like just insane.
And this is a single developer too, folks. By the way.
Oh,
if you didn't know
person?
that, it's one person.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
I had no idea. That guy, dude.
I don't know if he's added more people, but I saw a big thread about the game, and there was multiple people in there going, "Look, you guys got to realize this is a single dude doing this. Like that's where the game came from."
Yeah.
So even crazier, man.
Yeah, it is, dude. So I'm loving that. I did try some Pentiment a little bit yesterday. I wasn't, I don't think, in the right frame in mind or attention span to play that yet. So I kind of played for like 5-10 minutes. I was like, this is not, my mind's not here right now. I'm gonna wait until I'm in that, like, hey, I feel like almost being told a story. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're reading a novel.
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I was not in the mood for that at the time. But if you are in the mood for that, that's the kind of game. But also been playing a little bit. Haven't gotten too far, but I played some of the fucking Tactics Ogre on
yes, I saw
PS5.
you streaming that. I watched your stream the other morning after you had done it the night before.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so jealous.
There's a lot of reading in that too, man. It's like so it's so fun. Like, I don't know, man. They need to make like some fantasy movies based on those stories from those old school Square RPGs. God, it's so good. It's like I actually get into those stories for some reason. Like, I don't know, but
I was watching. It looks fantastic, bro.
It's so classic, dude. It's such classic Square Tactics RPG goodness.
And I saw you got all excited when you went in there and you saw all the other stuff that you get to open up, like all the alternate jobs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's deep, bro. It's
yeah.
I'm gonna have a blast with that. So, gaming is great right now. Gaming's great.
It is.
What about also more Forge stuff? Been checking out some other creations from creators out there. Lockout got remade. It's a good one-to-one recreation. It's amazing, man. People are already onto some good stuff there.
I saw the aliens map today that I posted in the DMs. Somebody created an aliens inspired map, and it looks.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yes, it's in the DMs. It's freaking amazing.
There's still some bugs they got to work out. Like I can't save a copy for some reason of some people's maps. Like it gives me an error for some reason. So then what happens is anytime like I would want to play that map or look for that map, I have to search for it all over again. Right. And then sometimes it glitches out and doesn't show up, and sometimes it does. So you have to go back out and all the way back in. So there's still some bugs and errors they got to work on. But ultimately, this Forge is like insanely more impressive than any Forge I've seen before.
And this is just the beginning. That's the crazy part. Like it just launched. Like they're going to continue to improve.
Yeah, it's in beta. You know,
I saw the. I also saw the one where the guy created the space fighter. You're actually flying around in Banshees, and it's in space.
Right.
And that's what I was talking about when we talked about this stuff. That's what we talked. Like the things that people are going to be able to come up with, especially if they start putting AI scripting in and stuff that people can actually use. there's no limit really to what they're going to be able to do. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be freaking amazing.
Yeah.
You still with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I was reading the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it is going to
I'm
be
posting stuff, so
it is going to be
all right.
absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see what all is put in, man. It's just like on the cusp of being one of the greatest tools given to players that's ever been given before.
Right. Correct.
For sure.
For sure. And I've heard a lot of that from people who've checked it out already, that this is like the deepest set of tools that anybody's been given for their, again, creation engine or a Bethesda specifically made to do this for their modding community. That's part of the creation engine, is to make it easy. And we see the crazy good stuff that we get out of that. I think that's what Halo Infinite's going for here, is to give their audience the power to add to what is already there. And I think that's going to be special in the end. Again, this just came out. Like most people haven't gotten their hands on it yet. And it's not complete yet either. It's still beta, right? So Mav, let's see, what has my week consisted of? Almost the same as yours. Vampire Survivors, 100%. I posted a ton of video. Listen, people love it, and I don't care. Again, people out there just want to
trendy.
It's just trendy. I don't do trendy. Anybody who's heard me talk, I don't do trendy. I don't care if it's trendy or not. I don't give a shit.
Okay, we were playing Battlefield when the trend was not to play that, right?
When I was playing Cyberpunk and calling it one of the greatest games of all time before anybody else rediscovered.
We don't buck trends here. I mean, we don't follow trends here. We buck them. We go.
And I'm not a contrarian to be a contrarian.
Yeah, exactly.
Either. I don't do that.
Those people annoy the shit out of me, Pong.
Oh, those.
Oh my god! Like you're not anything that's cool. All of a sudden, it's so uncool.
No, so. But Vampire Survivors is legit. The developer just put out a patch yesterday. It was supposed to be out tomorrow, but the patch actually rolled out yesterday. He put out a tweet for the Xbox specifically to start fixing some of the bugs, the small bugs that people have been finding. This game is real. It is legit. Not saying it's for everyone, but I'm telling you that a lot of people who have tried this game have said the exact same thing that we all have. For some reason, this is that magical loop of gameplay that just draws people in, and it draws a wide audience of people in. There's people that I saw that swore they wouldn't pick up this game, finally kind of got crushed by the popularity and tried it and absolutely love it, right? I think that this developer is on. And now I was reading a big thread, and I don't know if the developer has grown since this game or since he started making this game, but I've heard it is one developer on this game. This developer's got a bright future. This developer is going to be getting a lot of offers. Again, if this was just a game to get your name out there, you have done that, sir. In space, you hit the mother load with your first game. Like, this is like nuts. It's the perfect game. Again, the return on investment on this game is going to be ridiculous for this studio. I hope he can grow. I hope he's got bigger dreams. There's a lot of different ways you could take this game. But if you haven't tried Vampire Survivors, again, it's in Game Pass. Try it out. Even if you don't have Game Pass, I definitely would say I would lay down the $5 no matter what, and just flip them a $5 bill. There's a lot worse ways to spend $5 nowadays. Okay, that's a gallon of gas. Okay, $5, flip this guy $5 and try it, because I'm telling you, you get hours. I think I was ahead of you, man, for a while. I was looking at everybody's stats just to see how much people play. Like Back from the Dead had like 2 days in it already.
Yeah,
like it was crazy.
Jasper's already finished everything in it.
Yeah, Jasper's already. Well, he's a sweaty, so he finishes everything fast.
Yeah,
it doesn't count. Jasper's ridiculous. He's a Terminator. I think I had 16 hours in the other day already.
Tony's got 50 plus hours already.
See? Yeah, wow. Grasso. Yeah, I saw you up on my list too, Tony. Yep, absolutely. It's insane how this draws you in, especially when your beginning runs are all like 10 minutes long, 12 minutes long. And then once you figure it out, once you have your aha moments,
every run's 30 minutes plus.
20 to 30 minutes. Every single run. That's the way it is. I did do something stupid the other night. I had the perfect build going. I was so happy. And then the Grim Reaper showed up but this Grim Reaper was running away from me. So I was like, all right, I'm going to chase him. I'm going to try to kill him. I was doing damage. Yeah. So I was chasing him.
Yeah.
I got too close. And I had the perfect build going, man. I had everything lined up. I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one. Yeah, I died instantaneously the minute I touched him because I got too close. But no, go check out Vampire Survivors. Hopped into Pentiment. I've got probably a little over an hour in Pentiment, somewhere around that neighborhood. This game is fantastic from what I've played so far. This is, again, like Mav said, and like I said while he was talking, you've got to want to read. It's like reading a novel. But if you're going to take the time to spend in this world, this writing is so ridiculous. Again, this is Obsidian. This is Josh Sawyer. And you see it through and through. And his team did such a ridiculous amount of actually getting down to the fine details of that time period and creating little nuances within the game. I'll give you one example. When you start talking to somebody and their words are popping up on the screen, and it's written, if you don't use, he's got a lot of accessibility features, so you don't have to read the cursive if you don't want to. You can turn that off. But the cursive will start out one way, and then depending what you find out about that person, like let's say that person is more intelligent, all of a sudden, or is a lord or lady, that writing will get erased and the words will be rewritten in fancier script. It's little touches like that that you just don't find in every game. I know I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this game. Josh even included a big head mode in this game. You can go increase the head size of the characters. It's freaking so hilarious. But it's actually better because you can see their expressions. So I turned up the heads a little bit. I didn't go full bore like NBA Jam style, but I did turn up the heads a little bit, just so I could see their expressions more. Nice. Yeah, they do. It's called big head mode in the actual options. Yes, it's amazing. So I'm loving Pentiment so far. Again, there's so much to play right now. Whatever. Pentiment's going to be there. I'm going to play that for sure. And then I checked out Somerville, also for probably about an hour as well. Somerville, depending on who you talk to. Great game. The atmosphere in this game and how they throw you in. If you like Inside and you like that presentation, you're going to like Somerville. Now, there are some small bugs that I've already come across and I've heard people talk about. It's not as polished as Inside or Limbo both were. And some people are like a little bit kind of upset about that it's not that polished. But the game itself and the story that's being told, if you're a sci-fi fan, if you like Inside or you like Limbo, go play this game.
Yeah. It makes sense too. I mean, I think this is this studio's first game, right?
Yeah.
So, it does come from creators of Limbo and Inside, but when they started a new studio, as Jump Ship, I think is the name of the studio, right?
And now they just got purchased too, by the way.
They did, yeah.
Small news bit, Thunderful
or whatever.
Thunderful. Yeah. Thunderful bought them already. So yeah.
So that's a good news. That's a good story for that team, Yeah. I mean, they got their first game released and got acquired in the same day. So that's pretty freaking awesome. At least that's when the announcement came through.
That's when it came out. Yeah. So they obviously had to get the game out the door and the announcement. There was probably a deal already in place, obviously. So, and then otherwise, like you said, Mav, Modern Warfare. And what can I say? I'm not a battle royale player. Anybody who's listened to me on podcasts since I jumped into this community, I will tell you straight up, I don't like battle royales. I liked Naraka. When it first dropped out, me and Steel played a lot of Naraka. That was the first battle royale. I actually had a good time. I liked Naraka because of the melee fighting in it versus the gun play. Like you get in a Fortnite or PUBG or, whatever, or Warzone 1.0. But jumping in with you guys into Warzone, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to sit here and say it was like the greatest time ever, but I had a really good time because
you were doing good, Pong.
Yeah, No, I suck, but that's okay. It's fine. When I'm playing with good players, I can be the Scottie Pippen to a Michael Jordan. I can be, or I can be a BJ Armstrong off the bench to a Michael Jordan, and get a couple good plays in. That's all that really matters. but I was having a good time with you guys because it does become more tactical than just the run and gun of the regular multiplayer.
That's what I've
And
always loved about it. Yeah.
And that, you know, how much I had, we had a great time in Rainbow Six Extraction, Siege Extraction, because of that too, because we were using tactile movements and sticking together, and you're not running off.
Communication.
Communication. You're trying to be careful. That stuff is fun to me. And so I was having a really good time last night. And yeah, we had some good runs. We had a couple second place finishes, top 10s for probably over half the time we were top 10. So we were having some good runs. And it was a blast. And so this game is just going to continue to grow. It's crazy, man. Like there's so much content to Modern Warfare 2, and I didn't even jump to DMZ yet or anything. I haven't tried co-op yet. Battle Pass. Listen, they're giving you the illusion of freedom with this new Battle Pass. Some people say it's confusing. It's not confusing. You got to think of it like a board game. All you're trying to do is collect. If you gotta open up everything with your tokens in one area, and then depending on where it's positioned, the next area opens up to you, and then you got to work on that one. And you might have a choice. There might be branching paths, but you can kind of decide what rewards you want to go after first versus waiting through the regular battle pass and looking at like level 80, 90 and going, oh God, I got to get all the way up there to get that gun that I want, that blueprint. Now you can kind of decide how you want to get around, and you might get it a little bit sooner than you would have previously. I don't have any problem with it. I finally got the 50 tokens, my 50 tier skip, since I got the Vault edition. That was a problem when it first launched, but it actually did show up last night, so I opened up a bunch of that stuff. Not an exciting first battle pass. Again, Call of Duty, now that this one's going to be here for 2 years, I don't think we start getting the cool anime stuff and that kind of stuff until a little bit further down the road. I did see that they do have like a dragon package deal, dragon skins for a weapon and all that kind of stuff. I think it was the M4. But they're not going to open it up. They're going to slowly increase it. But for the first go, it was good. And I was happy with it. So, yeah, that's been my week of gaming. More gaming this week than last week. That's for damn sure. So, but a really good one. So, have a good time, man. Like you said, there's a lot to play right now. There
is a lot to play. Too much.
And
insane.
It's going to continue.
Yeah.
So I'm pre-ordering Midnight Suns. Yep. I'm pre-ordering the Ultimate Edition of that. I just watched. Hey, anybody interested in Midnight Suns? They've been doing almost weekly dev playthroughs and showing more and more of the game. Go watch this last one. That was just, when was it, Matt? Was it yesterday when I said?
Yeah, it was yesterday. It was live. Yesterday. They were still doing character creation and stuff.
They went through character creation. They went through the main area. What's it called? Not the mansion, but whatever it's called. Your main hub, where you're going to do. Listen, when Mav and I first got off the train of Midnight Suns, because we saw the cards and they were talking about how they wanted to make it more accessible for more people. Because for people who don't know, Firaxis did XCOM. These are the XCOM guys doing Midnight Suns. Then Mav and I got off the train during that first couple showings because we were like, I don't know, this ain't looking like it. Then they disappeared for a while, came back. Listen, if they want to make this more casual friendly, they did the complete opposite from what I'm seeing. This last video, Mav, what they showed, you can customize all the stuff you can open up, all the different crafting you can do, all the different powers you can get, all the different items there are, all the different combinations you can make. Bro, this is straight up XCOM, but with Marvel.
Yep.
And cards, of course, because XCOM doesn't have cards. But they have put together a complete package. This is going to be a time sink for sure. So I'm excited about that, and that rolls out December 2nd. We got Evil West coming at the end of the month. We got some news on that this week that Mav and I will probably touch on as far as minimum specs and all that good stuff. What else is coming out? Oh, we got High on Life next month. And then we've also got Gungrave. Gore is also coming to Game Pass at the end of this month as well. So full slate of games, and that's just on top of already playing Modern Warfare 2 like a lot. So it's been pretty cool, Mav. So
no shortage. That's for sure.
No shortage whatsoever. Hey, chat, listen, all you beautiful people out there, just saying, Spider-Man 356, Talos Ray, Siki, Tony Grasso, Andrew Cullinane. Who else we got in here? We got Talos Ray. We got the Vaseline dude. What's going on, Vaseline dude? Great to see you. Bellantone, how you doing? Black Card A, great to see you in here, brother, as well as always. UK Lad, of course, showing up. Who else we got in here? We got Def Leopard dropping on in here. What's going on, Def? Razor NZ all the way from New Zealand every single Thursday. Great to see you. Why So Serious is in here. Kaitlin, the beautiful Kaitlin. Love the thumbnail, Kaitlin. As always, amazing job. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. AB is in here. What's going on, AB? It's Timmy. It's Timmy is in here. What's going on? It's Timmy. Vik The CLiCK, of course, dropping on in here. Steel Rain, brother, dropping on by to say hi. He's probably lurking in the background playing some games.
Probably
Let's
so.
see what else. Yeah, probably playing some Modern Warfare. I wouldn't doubt it. Or some Vampire Survivors because Steel is hooked as well. Wilfrey Rosario, what's going on? Ghost Fixter, General Spartan 27. Nix is always dropping in here. Dreadpool, the great Dreadpool, dropping in to say hi. What's going on, Dread? What else we got in here? Let's see if I'm missing anybody. Alvin, of course, Alvin, you drop in here. You always have to, and we appreciate it. Masshole 1977. Great to see you. If I missed anybody, who else? Master Clowns X3 is in here. Papa Woody's in the house. What's going on, Papa? I think I got everybody. Sorry, I started my YouTube up late, but man, before we get into topics, we do have some crazy news. You alluded to it last week, but now we actually get to do this. So I'm going to pass it over to you because, man, we've got a sponsor for the Fun Speculation channel. What's up with that, man? Tell us all about it. What's going on?
Got Manscaped pods now on the Fun Speculation channel. We're all manscaped up. So part of it is I had to get smooth, as contractual obligation. Kate was pretty happy about that,
Did Kate help you?
No. She
thought that would be a good couples
couples thing. Yeah, no. Yeah. She enjoys the after effects.
Okay.
Of that, and yeah, dude. But we got an ad to read now. So I'm gonna do my best Jez impersonation here. Everybody, because we are a Manscaped pod.
You should do it in a British accent like Jez does it in an American accent.
Okay. Well, we can try.
That's Australian.
Is it? Fuck. All right. Hold on. Thinking about gifts, whether it's for a friend or the friends in your pants, you can make this a season to be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor and use the lawnmower, I'm fucking losing my accent, 4.0. To avoid another silent night in the bedroom, then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you, baby. Santa cares about his sack, and so should you. Look nice when you get naughty by going to manscaped.com and use code FUNSPECULATION for free shipping and 20% off.
What's the code again, Mav? Fun speculation?
Fun speculation. You know what's no longer speculation? is how my balls smell, because they smell like crop preserver ball deodorant. Yes. If you get this, your lady or your personal lover will thank you, because your nuts will smell like this instead of what they usually smell like. Now, I'll say that that's probably the coolest thing. Now, if you get this as a gift to somebody, I think it's like almost like buying somebody some gum, or like offering somebody some gum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if somebody offers you a stick of gum, don't turn it down, right? Somebody offers you ball deodorant, they're probably trying to tell you something, right? Don't turn it down, okay?
But if you don't want to get to that point where somebody has to offer it to you, you get Manscaped.
That's true.
And you get the ball deodorant up front, and then you don't have to worry about that happening.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. Yeah. Your balls will thank you. And also Fun Speculation will thank you if you use the discount code, because it does help the channel. So thank you.
Thank you, Marlesco. It wasn't Australia. He slipped into Australian and British accents.
That was somebody that's floated between the UK and Australia for half of their life. They don't know. You know, it slips sometimes. All right, mate.
No, I gotta say, listen, I've been trimming for longer than it was ever been cool before because I'm an old dude. And let me tell you something. Manscaped, the package that they send this in is as nice as the Xbox Series S packaging. That's how serious they take Manscaped.
I have.
So if you're gonna order,
I have.
if you got the package, show the box and stuff.
You want me to show? You want me to show my package?
No, not your package. We don't need to see it to know that you did it. Okay, we don't need proof.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll
So
show
the Manscaped package.
Yeah. All right. So it comes in this box.
Yep.
So then you open your box, and it comes like this. Like your balls will thank you, right? Yep. And then you get all these goodies. Look, this is the lawnmower 4.0, and you could use one end to shave. And
there's still some hairs on there, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now, here's the funny thing, though. The other end is pretty dull here, and this is buzzes. Can you hear this buzz? Yeah? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
This is not, we should not, that should not be something that we actually promote.
Oh, no? Okay.
It might be dangerous.
Yeah. Then you got this. This was the lawnmower, and I like how they name them after garden tools. This is the nose and ear jammer, you know. Kate,
which works fantastic.
Yeah, Kate loves that. Get my long nostril hairs out. And then we have Crop Reviver. So this comes in it. It's ball toner.
Yep, ball toner. It's good moisturizing.
It tones your balls. And this makes them smell good. This is the deodorant. So it comes with all those. And then it comes you can put your lawnmower in a dock. It's like that. Yeah, it comes with all that good stuff. So, yeah.
But yeah, if you want to get it as a Christmas gift for your dad, for your brother, whatever the case may be, you're going to get them a great package in more ways than one.
Yeah.
Okay? So, Manscaped, and it's code Fun Speculation. So, this helps out the show. We appreciate you all for the short advertisement segment. Yeah. We hope we entertained you. But this is kind of a big deal, and it does help with the show. So shout out to Mav for setting this up and getting this done. And it's really cool. And again, they sent us packages, and I tried mine, and I gotta say, it's very well done. It is an amazing product that's I didn't know what to expect quality wise. You know, when you buy stuff,
it's good quality. Yeah,
this is good quality. This is high quality.
You know, my favorite thing is it makes you look bigger.
Well, of course, it adds inches.
Yeah.
It's an illusion, but it adds inches. It's fantastic. That's why I've been doing it for longer than most people thought it was cool. So
I didn't realize I had so much hiding under there, you know?
All right. So moving on. We're going to get into exclusive game talk now. But again, manscaped.com. Go check it out and get yours ordered or put it on your wish list from your significant other. This holiday, it's perfect time to do it. Again, code Fun Speculation. All right. Mav's got the link in the chat, I believe, as well. And it's linked to the show. Now, Mav, we got to get down to business.
Yeah.
What do you want to start with? I just dropped my paper, by the way. I had some notes.
We're going to talk about Phil. Do you think he manscapes?
Oh, God. I don't need to know that about Phil. I don't.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll move on to the conversation.
Maybe that adds respect in your book. I just
it does now. It does now. I didn't used to
care. You want to start with Phil?
Yeah, I mean, we can start with it. I mean, he kind of threw a bone to good old Jimmy boy.
Yeah, again, Mav, is there any way you could bring? I sent it in the DMs. Is there any way you could bring up that short clip from the interview and just play it for everybody?
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can do that.
It's I sent you the tweet with the linked video in it. It's not too far.
I got it
pretty close to the bottom there. You got it?
Yeah, I'll play the audio.
Yeah, play the audio.
We think Call of Duty will be on PlayStation as long as players want to play Call of Duty on PlayStation. And that's not a competitive threat against PlayStation. That's just a pragmatic way of looking at it.
This brings me back to game streaming, right? Because one way you could get Call of Duty on PlayStation.
Native Call of Duty on PlayStation, not linked to them having to carry Game Pass. If they want a streaming version of Call of Duty on we could do that as well, just like we do on our own consoles. There's nothing behind my back. It is the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 doing great on PlayStation, doing great on Xbox. The next game, the next game, next like native on the platform, not having to subscribe to Game Pass. Sony does not have to take Game Pass on their platform to make that happen. There's nothing hidden. We want to continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation without any kind of weird, I figured out the gotcha.
Someone has sent you the digest of angry tweets about this. I can tell that you're like ready to fight with the people online.
All right.
That was Phil Spencer on the Verge's podcast, The Decoder. This week, he's been going on an interview cycle like crazy before he probably goes on vacation. I don't know how much vacation he's going to get during the ABK deal, but obviously normally come December, Microsoft clears out and there's nobody around. And so he's been on this whirlwind tour, Mav, of different shows, different places, doing these interviews. That is the closest, I think, Mav, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that is the closest I've ever heard Phil to being irritated to angry. Like he is done with this conversation. Like Phil does not cut people off. Like I've seen interviews where the interviewer is going hard at Phil and Phil still just sits there and listens and then responds. He cut the Verge, I forget the dude's name, apologies, who does the decoder over there, but he cut him off instantaneously. And you could just tell, Mav, that has heard all the conversations about this, that, oh, Phil's hiding things, that, his words haven't been exactly clear. And there's loopholes in what he's saying and they can get around it by this. And yeah, PlayStation's going to need to bring Game Pass to get Call of Duty and all that kind of stuff. Phil completely blew all of that out of the water. Phil also went on to say that they are willing to extend Sony a longer contract than Sony's even probably comfortable with when it comes to Call of Duty. But Phil made it very clear that forever is just not something you do in business. You don't write the word forever in a contract.
Yeah.
So that's just not part of the equation.
That's not
you can't do
blood
that.
oath. I mean,
yeah, right, exactly. But Phil has made it clear that they are willing to give Sony the contract that he believes Sony should be happy with. Now, obviously, we believe that Jim has other ulterior motives, that Jim has other wants associated with it. But as far as the Call of Duty appearing on PlayStation, to me, Mav, he shut everybody out. Like, this is it. Like, he's done with this conversation. This is over with. There is nothing. Call of Duty is Minecraft to them. And they're going to keep it everywhere, and they're going to expand it everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, did you hear the same things, or what did you take from what Phil just did there?
I think, also potentially that tweet from the EU regulator person who's not part
PlayStation?
of this. Yeah. Maybe that got under the skin as well, because, he's been saying everything in the most, official way possible before, with, trying to be politically correct, or, being correct, with legal wording, and be careful exactly how you say things and all this kind of stuff. But this was just point blank blunt. All right, this is the idiot proof version for everybody out there that keeps asking about this, including the EU regulators that are trying to use this as a propaganda tool, right? All you people out there trying to use this to justify your reasoning for looking deeper into this deal, just shut up and just listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth, right? And it's Call of Duty is going to continue to be on PlayStation and not involving any trickery type bullshit, basically. And he's saying the Call of Duty after that, the Call of Duty after that, the Call of Duty after that, and all these Call of Duties are going to continue to be on PlayStation natively. You're going to be able to buy it just like you can now, right? So he's trying to put to bed this ridiculous stuff that is being utilized for people trying to create this Microsoft anti-Xbox narrative that's trying to be pushed, saying Xbox and Microsoft are trying to take away your Call of Duty, right? Because that's what these regulators and everybody, and Jim Ryan and everybody like that as well over at PlayStation, is trying to send a message, right? They're trying to send this message, and I think Phil's just sick of it. So he even put it into words that even Jim can understand now, right? Even Jim can understand these words. They're not written in any kind of confusing legal document or any kind of things. It's just point out, plain and simple. Jim, don't worry. COD's going to stay there, and it's going to keep staying there, and you don't even have to have Game Pass on your PlayStation. You still get your COD. Don't worry. So, I don't know. It's just point blank and simple. It's like idiot proof. Yep. So, and it's also coming from the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. That holds a lot of credibility and can be used against them if they ever back again, like don't follow through with those. So, you know, him saying that publicly means a lot. A lot more than people say that, oh, Phil's lying or whatever. Still to this day, people still saying that. I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth, blah, 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 blah. Yep. If they were to do this deal and it goes through and they were to backtrack on this, it would be hell on Microsoft. It would be hell on him. It would be, they can't, right? They just absolutely can't. And there's regulators who know that. They just don't know anything about gaming. They haven't been following things. They're just taking PlayStation's words and Jim's words and concerns and trying to use that as their reasoning because they knew they were always going to take it to 2.0. So they had to have some ammunition, right? Yep. So this is basically those bullets that they were trying to create as ammunition for this just became blanks.
Correct. And I think that's that was the point of this. And I now I've heard people trying to spin this. Well, if he's willing to give them a longer deal, why didn't he offer Jim a longer deal? Do you guys have any idea how business negotiations work? Have you guys ever negotiated a thing in your life? You don't just give up the entire deck of cards on the first play. That's not what you do. Because you want the most favorable deal possible. Again, the longer the terms of contract, and Jim knows this as well, with an IP like Call of Duty, the more complex that deal actually gets. Because you have to somehow give a value to an IP that has new iterations that you don't necessarily know what are going to look like 4, 5, 6 years down the road. You have no idea what that Call of Duty is going to be. And you somehow have to negotiate a contract with actual monetary values included. That makes that much more complicated. That's why Activision didn't do 20-year deals with Sony for Call of Duty. That's why they did these renewal periods after the contracts ran out. Because you're going to see what it looks like at that time and place. So, no, you don't just make whatever, you don't give Jim whatever he wants up front. No, that's not how negotiations work. What Phil's saying here is, hey, again, we're at the second phase with all these regulators. Some of them are further along than others. We're all hearing the same. We're hearing the same thing from all of these regulatory bodies, except for, of course, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, the ones that have already approved it. But from the ones that have major concerns, we're hearing the same thing. Okay, we hear you. We'll negotiate a longer-term contract that makes everybody happy. That's not a problem. Just don't try to say that forever should be in there, because that, as Phil quote said, was silly. That is silly. That's not how, you don't do that in a real business, okay? You don't write forever in a contract.
Yeah.
So, but now Phil's saying, hey, we'll come back to the table, Jim. We'll give you a contract that we think can make you happy, and we'll move on as far as terms go.
He's almost putting Jim on blast. Like, what's going to make you happy? Putting it out there. It's like, is it willing to agree to something more long term that Sony will accept, right? And kind of going back with the same language as like when they didn't submit anything to the regulators before the phase 2 thing, which they were never going to. Well, there's no clue on what they would accept as far as concessions. Like, so they haven't really raised the really good problems for us to be able to raise a solution to, other than this Sony argument, right, back and forth, and that's not enough. So they need more information on how they can resolve that before they can actually put forth any solutions. And like Pong said, a solution is not like some ridiculous thing, like in perpetuity type, long-term forever contract, because guess what? Even Phil says himself, even with his statements there is, I mean, and he said it's not to be like malicious or like take a jab at Sony, but who's to know that Sony and the PlayStation will be relevant 20 years from now or 10 years from now? Like, what if
Right.
they like dwindle down to 10% market share of gaming or something? Like, at that point, would it be worth bringing Call of Duty still to to that platform?
Right.
Now,
Correct.
who knows? I'm gonna say it's not gonna happen. I'm not predicting that's gonna happen.
Right.
But I'm just saying you can't do contracts like that for those purposes. You know, it takes a lot of money to make those games and stuff. So, would Sony put in a contract that they're going to bring Call of Duty to Xbox forever if they owned Activision Blizzard? No.
No.
That if they could make it exclusive now, they would. I bet. I mean, they would say, well, most players already play on PlayStation anyway, so like Xbox doesn't even need them. Xbox is not in this to make COD exclusive, and COD is only a small part of this deal for Xbox and for Microsoft. It's actually, it's the chip that's being used against them because there's no other cards to play, right? But it's really one of the less relevant aspects to what Microsoft needs out of this deal. They already make lots of money off of COD.
Yep.
And they're going to continue. Now they'll get more subscriptions to Game Pass, obviously, when they're able to put those games in Game Pass. But they're going to make more money off of Candy Crush and all this PC infrastructure they get and all this other stuff that they're getting out of this deal. So they're going to want it to pass through, and they're going to work with PlayStation back and forth, which is what PlayStation wanted all along. This is why they've been playing that game also, right?
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. But him using the lines, this is not about pulling the rug from underneath PlayStation. There's nothing behind my back. He's telling you point blank.
Yeah.
The conversations that are happening are nonsense. That's not what this is about.
Yeah.
And to your point, Mav, about that this is bigger and something that we've talked about constantly, whether people want to believe it or not. We'll get to an article very shortly here from VGC where Phil talks about the need to have a piece of the pie in the mobile market and how vital that actually is to the long-term future of Xbox. And we'll talk about that shortly, but that you're right, Mav. And it's again, something we've been pointing out, something Phil's pointed out, something Satya has pointed out. Everybody's been talking about it. If you look at this deal, COD is one diamond out of a chest full of diamonds. It might be the brightest to us or to the gaming community, and maybe to Jim Ryan it's the brightest because it's the easiest one to point out as a weak spot in this deal. But at the end of the day, it's a treasure full of diamonds that Phil and Xbox and Microsoft are looking at, and why they spent $70 billion here, not just for COD. COD is small. We could say it's huge. It's one of the biggest IPs, if not the biggest IP in the world. But in the grand scheme, it's small compared to the rest of it. And that's the point here. So great to have Phil. Like I said, that's the closest I've heard and seen Phil to being upset during an interview. Visibly, you could even see it in his face. Like he was ready for the question. He knew he was going to be asked.
Yeah.
But then the follow-up question, he knew before the interviewer even got it out, and the interviewer's last, I think it's Vikali Patel. Before the guy even got the question out, Phil knew right where he was going, and right where he was going to, try to hit. And Phil was just like, "Yeah, no, we're not doing this. There's nothing there. Stop, stop." And I, like I said, I've never seen Phil do that. So how much this has been weighing on him, and how irritating it's getting at this point. Like you said, Mav, and you made a great point. It's not just the people. It's not just the stupid little gaming community, even though Phil is in it and Phil does pay attention. It's more probably about the regulatory bodies and the stupid stuff he's probably been. We only get to see the written stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure the stuff that he's been hearing behind the scenes, he's just sitting there shaking.
The
his head
questions or documents that get sent asking certain questions. He's like, really? Like, what did you guys even know anything at all? I can imagine. Because, you'd be in those situations sometimes when you're trying to talk to somebody that knows clearly nothing about what's going on, and they submit questions or answers to you, and it's like everything is like, what the hell is this? Like, how do I even respond to this? It's like, doesn't even make any damn sense, I bet they've been in that situation a lot with this deal, and it takes a lot of trying to educate and it's like Yeah, and you're trying to educate the people that its job is to regulate against you. So it's like a battle that's complicated. It's like being a kid trying to make an argument to your parents or whatever. You know what I mean? But they don't understand. Like, this is important to me because of this. Well, like, no, you can't do that, son. Why?
And somebody's,
you know, like,
and on top of that, Mav, somebody's already spoken to your parents and made your story, try to invalidate your story.
some stupid neighbor or something that's like, you shouldn't let them play that game because of this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
No, it's not about that, Mom and Dad. It's not. We've all been in those situations, right?
Yes, we have.
Shout out to Lemon, who hit us with a $5 super chat.
Ooh, shout out Lemon. What's going on, brother?
Dragons TV, the Dragon's Den over there on YouTube.
Go check out that channel, please. Great channel. Lots of good content.
So let's be real. PS just got the rights back on PS4. Before that, it was 360. They will be fine. And Pong, what's in that cup? Mav, what's goody? Stay awesome. You too, Lemon. Appreciate you. So what's in that cup?
This is coffee, sir. Coffee.
Oh. Okay. That's boring.
It's been a long day. Yeah, no, I'm a boring dude. I had my party days. You guys all didn't know me before my party days. When I was a wild man. Now I'm boring and old. And I like it that way.
I like coffee too.
Yeah, no, I love coffee. Coffee is my
how do you drink it? Is it black or is it you add a couple creams of sugars? Or?
Nope. Black.
Black?
Yep. Straight up. Straight black, man.
What brand? What brand do you
drink? It just depends. Normally like Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, Dunkin's got good ones.
Yeah.
Dark roast?
But when we go to Sam's Club, we get Sam's Club brand. It's good. So
nice.
Yep.
I'm picking Pong on his coffee choices here. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I do espresso too. So there's espresso in here as well. So it's like an Americano. So
sweet.
Yeah. He also talked, Mav, that we covered. Now we covered that part of it. He also talked about Keystone again during this interview. And gave a little bit more insight to Keystone. And of course, people don't remember what Keystone is. That's Project Keystone. That is the, whatever you want to call it, the puck, the stick, the box, the streaming box, puck, stick, whatever you want to call it, that we saw on his shelf, that they confirmed was an actual working model. We found out that they got that thing up and running in 9 months now.
Yeah, wow.
Not bad. Not bad for a software company who isn't necessarily known for their hardware. 9 months to get it up and running. But Phil actually went around and kind of explained a little bit more about it and said Keystone, it was, let's see here. It was more expensive than we wanted it to be when we actually built it out with the hardware that we had inside. We decided to focus that team's effort on delivering the smart TV streaming app. It was really just a direction. Quote, okay, we're going to focus our effort on our partnership with Samsung and where that app might continue to show up in different places over time. With Keystone, we're still focused on it and I'm watching when we can get the right cost. When you have the Series S at $299 and during the holidays, you might see some price promotions. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. And you obviously have Series X higher. I think in order for a streaming only box to make sense, the price delta to S has to be pretty significant. Want to be able to include a controller when we go ahead and do that. It was really just about where we could build the right product at the right price, or if we couldn't, how we could focus the team's effort. We decided to do the TV app with Samsung, and we're really happy about the results there. And he did get specific. He said he wanted the price of Keystone. They will launch it with a controller when they get the price between $99 and $129, which is exactly what we talked about, Mav, didn't we? We talked about this last year when we first heard smoke about this, or if they ever did a streaming device, that $99 with a controller would be that price point. That would be beautiful. And obviously, they made it. They tried it, but obviously, for whatever reason, they could not get down to that price range. So for you, Mav, hearing that Keystone was close, was this close.
Yeah.
It's real. It's this close. Phil's got a working model. And he even went on to talk about that when you fire that thing up, it's like firing up an Xbox. He said the UI is exactly the same. Looks like your Xbox home screen, everything in there. So
that's what I figured it would have to be, right?
Yeah. We assume that's where they would go, right? Because that would make the most sense. So when you hear that they were this close, Mav, but it is about the price. Do you think that they should have tried it anyways? Or are you happy they went with the app instead? And when do you think we see Keystone? What's your best guess when we see Keystone?
Well, I feel like, according to what he's saying, basically they couldn't get the price where they wanted it to be, right? With the controller at that price and everything. So my guess is when they can meet that price point, right?
When do you think it is? Speculation time. When do you think it is? Give me a date.
Next year, sometime next year.
Next year?
Mid-year, middle of the year, probably.
Because we had some journalists out saying years away, and I'm more in your camp.
Well, it only took 9 months to get it off the ground, period, right? So I think it depends on like cost of goods out there, and like it depends on what's going to happen in the market the next year. And that's one thing that not a lot of people can predict. We have assumptions, you know what I mean? But at some point, things got to get a little bit ease up on some of the cost on goods and shipping and all these different things. So I think if things settle down with that and they feel comfortable, at least that the cost is going down on it, whether it's necessarily there yet, they're used to taking a loss on hardware, right? So I feel like it's not wanting to potentially get that out and then taking even a bigger loss and a bigger loss and a bigger loss and a bigger loss that they're going to be, right, potentially in the market right now. So once things settle down and things start going the other way, I think is when they can potentially see it released, and maybe they'll keep iterating on the hardware, trying to reduce costs and different things up until that time. And in the meantime, they're still making waves. They just announced that the Samsung app is going to go to 2021 model TVs soon as well. So it's going to be like millions of TVs out there are all of a sudden going to have access to this app, as long as you download the update and you connect it to your internet and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like that partnership is going good for them. But there's a lot of people that have other TVs other than Samsung, right? And you already see what they're trying to do with the Series S with that price point. The only thing I would think is like if they can get the Series S to like low enough to them, maybe they're like wondering what would be the point at releasing the Keystone.
That's what he said. The Delta. He said the Delta has to be great enough where it makes sense between those two.
So right now we just saw that they're dropping the Series S price to $250 for the holidays, right? So there's some speculation that it could stay there. Now, if it stays around that price, and then I think if you hit 125 with the controller, that's still half price. That still fits that. But if Series S is to drop any more, then that would take that away. So at their point, maybe they look at it and be like, okay, do we release this whole other product, or do we drop the Series S another $50? You know, I don't know. It depends on whatever the costs are at the time, and it's hard. That's hard to predict. You know, we don't know exactly what it costs for them to make a Series S or or the Keystone. So, but I do hope they do release it. To be honest, like I feel like it's a device that I would personally use on some of my TVs in my house. And at least I would get one to try it first and see how it works. And if I didn't have a good experience, then I would move on from that. But I know like living room, 100%. I put it in my living room because I don't really game in the living room that much, but we watch a lot of movies and stuff like that on there. But what is an issue for the games that we do want to play on there is usually space. The other thing to this is I want to add that it doesn't make sense for me still to release this product until you can get the games that you own in game streaming.
Correct.
Right? Because I don't want to get this box and pay $100, $130, whatever it costs, and then not have access to my library. If it's only the Game Pass library, which is a great library, I'm not trying to knock Game Pass, it's an amazing library, but if it's only the Game Pass library and not the games I already bought and spent years buying and accumulating in a digital library, it doesn't hold as much value to me. At that point, I'd rather buy a Series S, right?
Yeah.
So until they can get to that point as well, that's when I release it.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? That makes total sense, and it makes sense because we haven't gotten an update on the streaming that we know they're working on.
Yeah.
Allowing you to stream through xCloud any game you own, and that they have not announced that yet. And they're also working on the fact that you're going to be able to purchase games through xCloud as well. And
I think that needs to be part of it too.
Yes, yes, I do believe that it's a great point that you just made, Mav, because I do think that's part of it. I
It
think
limits
that,
your
that
earning potential on the device too.
it does, it does, it
Greatly.
does. And like you said, with price points, I understand why they want the Delta. I still think there's an audience that
Mhm.
would still look at a $100 Delta and be like, okay, that's worth it. For some people who maybe don't game hardly at all, but want to have access to it every once in a while, I think that possibility is still there. So I appreciate the fact that they didn't want to drop it out at, like 159 or 189 or whatever the price point was at right now. I can't imagine it was much more than that. And also, you do have to consider right now, Phil came out and confirmed that they're subsidizing both the Series S and the X between $100 and $200 per box. So they're losing $100 to $200 per Series S and X. That's a lot. So I don't think they were prepared to start subsidizing the Keystone as well. I mean, I'm sure there might be a little bit there, a little wiggle room, but probably not enough to make a difference at the end of the day. And I think that's another thing they're going to look at is if we can get out of this recession, if inflation can come down, if the cost of goods can start to come back down again, then maybe that makes a lot more sense and they can get the price point they want. I really think, I know Phil said between 99 and 129. I think his dream is 99 because I think the Series S is eventually going to hit 199 for sure. And that's going to be the magic mark for the console. Then you have that $100 Delta with Keystone. And the biggest thing is it allows people on older TVs to get access where the app may not be at. And we don't know how many other brands are going to jump on this. I'm sure they're working behind the scenes. I'm sure they've had a good relationship with LG. I'm sure LGs eventually are going to be there as well. But again, you're still leaving out a lot of people. And so they got to get this out eventually. I'm on board with you, Mav. Depending on how next year goes, next holiday, we might have Keystone out. I don't think this is like years and years away. I think it's close. It just needs a couple dominoes to fall next year where they can comfortably put this thing out and say, okay, we're good with this. This is going to make sense in the marketplace. And this is going to make a difference overall for us. And again, I'm not limiting myself to just thinking about America or the West. The East is where this thing, I think, has a ton of potential, an absolute ton of potential. So, but price point is going to matter over there because a lot of goods are more expensive over there. So I think that that's going to be a big part of this. But I could see that happening sooner than later. So good news on the Keystone front. Not what we thought. We thought maybe we were going to get it this year when he teased it, but obviously that's not the case. But it's going to be a big piece down the road when they get everything lined up, including what Mav was talking about, having access to your full library through xCloud, being able to purchase games through xCloud so that this box is not just a Game Pass xCloud box. It's more than that. It becomes your library with you on the go or at home on a TV that you don't use very often. I think that's going to be the perfect time to do this. So that was a little bit of Keystone talk. And then finally, we're going to end the Phil talk on what we kind of hinted at, what Mav brought up in our first conversation about the throwing Jim a bone in this interview. But Phil also kind of went in depth with what King means to Xbox. And I'm going to read from VGC here. This did come from the Decoder interview as well, but VGC did an article on it earlier this week entitled Phil Spencer says Xbox business will become untenable if it remains irrelevant on mobile. Microsoft's head of gaming has said that Xbox will struggle to continue as a global business if the company doesn't establish a foothold in mobile. While the company's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard is often framed as the Xbox maker seeking to purchase Call of Duty, Phil Spencer has reiterated previous claims that the $68.7 billion deal is primarily driven by Microsoft's mobile gaming ambitions. And again, don't forget, everybody out there, we got word that they're working on the mobile app. They're going to try to bust open Google and try to bust open Apple. They're trying to get in there because that's the two dominant forces. Talk about monopolizing. Apple and Google control the mobile market right now. Quote, the idea that Activision is all about Call of Duty on console is a construct that might get created by our console competitor, he told The Verge's Decoder podcast. I haven't heard that Nintendo has been sending in any complaints about the deal, Spencer noted. He said that over the past 5 or 6 years, all the growth in its $200 billion global gaming business has come from the mobile segment, while console and PC revenues have remained relatively flat, something we've talked about constantly and we know is true. Spencer asked about a recent comment Microsoft made to a regulator about being a small player on PC and mobile. Said, quote, "I don't think anybody needs that quote from us to understand how irrelevant we are in mobile. Anybody who picks up their phone and decides to play a game would see that on their own. And PC as well. Our trials and tribulations over the last 5-6 years in PC gaming are well kind of documented. And we continue to work at it. And I love the work that the Xbox app team has been on. And our PC studio is doing great work on PC, but it takes time." He added, quote, "In terms of the Activision opportunity," and I keep saying this over and over, and it is true, "it definitely starts with a view that people want to play games on every device that they have. And in a funny way, the smallest screen that we play on is actually the biggest screen when you think about the installed base in phone. That's just a place where if we don't gain relevancy as a gaming brand, we're not alone in seeing this. Over time, the business will become kind of untenable for any of us. If we're not able to find customers on phones, on any screen that someone wants to play on, you really are going to get segmented to a niche part of gaming that running a global business will become very challenging." Spencer added, quote, "As a percent of the overall gaming business, the console business is shrinking because the overall business is growing and the console stays relatively flat as a business. Same thing with PC. And then when you look at the largest selling companies out there, Tencent being the biggest gaming company in the world, so much of their revenue comes from mobile. And then they put their business success that they've earned through that work that they've done into the market acquiring other studios at a very fast rate. That puts a lot of us out there who are maybe traditionally segmented to one screen and one device in a position of, okay, if you play this out over 10 years, if console itself is not going to grow and PC will grow in certain years and not other years, and mobile continues to grow, how do you continue to run the business and stay competitive with others that are out there either acquiring talent, building new business models, new distribution, building new franchises? It's critical that if you're trying to run an at-scale global gaming business, that you meet your customers where they want to play, and more, mobile is the place they want to play. Activision Blizzard said last week that its monthly active user base totaled 368 million for the quarter that ended in September 2022. Candy Crush maker King accounted for 240 million of those players. World of Warcraft and Diablo studio Blizzard for 31 million, and Call of Duty publisher Activision for 97 million. King has more players than any other Activision Blizzard divisions combined and generates more revenue too. So it was put to Spencer, Microsoft is actually buying the Candy Crush company rather than the Call of Duty one. Quote, "Absolutely," he responded. In addition, the number that's not in the Candy Crush King number is Call of Duty Mobile and Diablo Mobile, which are big franchises that exist in the Activision bucket and in Blizzard's bucket that are also major players on phones. All right, I'm going to stop there. I think we've got a good idea of where Spencer is here in his headspace. This is something we've talked about, Mav, when we look at the big picture, when you take that satellite view or RTS view, as my brother Steele likes to say, and you take a step back from being just, the console players we are, dabbled in PC. As much as we say mobile gaming isn't for us, well, we're not going to be the market down in the future. The future generation is already here, and the future generation and other parts of the world play on mobile now. So obviously, we knew Phil, Satya weren't lying when they said King was the major part of this acquisition along with Blizzard, but that actually Activision Call of Duty was probably the third most important part of this. But here we are with Phil giving out facts, talking about the future that they see and that they see coming. And he mentions in there, if you guys missed it in those quotes, he said others in this industry see it as well. And he's talking about the other gaming companies, whether it's publishers or console makers like Sony, etc. Obviously, Nintendo's figured it out. They created a mobile console. Okay, if you can call it that. They created a mobile gaming device. Man, when you hear this, and he kind of goes in depth here about that, hey, if Xbox doesn't get this, if Microsoft doesn't get into this mobile stuff, we're going to be dead in the water in the future because we can only grow so much in one space. And we don't want to become niche. We're trying to become a global gaming company here. And he brings up Tencent and what they've done. They focused on mobile first, then used that success to now start acquiring talent within the smaller places like console, like PC. Mav, what are you thinking about this when you see these, or when you hear what he's having to say, and when you think about the future of Xbox? And really, could it be that serious that it becomes untenable without a strong mobile presence? What do you think, brother?
I think Microsoft is in the big business, right? And they want to have Xbox and their gaming division be the biggest out there. And they're not right now. And in Microsoft as a company, that's not like where you want to be. And that's not just for Microsoft, but that's for any big tech company. You always have big aspirations, right? You don't settle for just being a niche product in big tech, right? Your job is to try and get into everybody's hands possible. I think Phil was the first to see it really early on, that like where the console gaming was and how mobile was exploding, and PC was still growing a little bit, but console sales across generation after generation after generation have been pretty much reached its peak, right? I mean, PlayStation even said this themselves when Jim says like the console market is capped. He said that, and that's why they're going multi-platform. As he said, they are reaching out to PC now. They've bought mobile developers and all these different things. Microsoft was the first to see this. But Microsoft is also the first to have the cloud infrastructure that they are pushing. Not what Sony did in the past with Gaikai and all that kind of stuff, right? But with really what they're pushing as a company as a whole, right? With the web-based stuff and doing all these different things, trying to host game development platforms on there, all this stuff that's way above my understanding exactly how it all works, obviously. But they have been at the forefront, and Game Pass has been the market face of that, really, right, towards the consumer, because we've been all subscribing to it because we get our games, and you can play them anywhere you want, PC, mobile, all this stuff. And Xbox has kind of taken a step back, and they had decided that this was going to be their future, right? Not to change Xbox into a mobile gaming company, but change mobile gaming and change it into something that's bigger and better than it ever was before. Now, people, I think, have a negative connotation with mobile gaming because we just think some of the companies that Microsoft's trying to acquire, and some of the games they're trying to get, like Candy Crush and all those things, and these pay-to-win type situations, and all these free-to-play things that have monetized out the wazoo, and you know what I mean? But Game Pass has been something that has actually found a way to turn the access of AAA games into an affordable aspect for the masses, like mobile gaming is. That's why mobile gaming is so popular. Everybody's got a phone, and the games are free. Most of them, right? Or a lot of them. So the gate there is low, right? So if everybody's got something and you don't have to ask too much to start, then that's ease of access. The gate of access is very low and easy to acquire new customers, okay? Candy Crush, again, has been number one for 21 straight quarters. That is absolutely fucking insane, dude. 21. So when you look at this, like, what is Xbox doing? They are taking the mobile model and they are putting it into console level quality gaming and trying to lower the ease of access into people getting into the ecosystem. Some people don't like that. They're like, what's going on? You're changing my games. I just want to pay $70 for everything. I want to pay $60 for everything. And I want it to stay the same because this freaks me out, right? But what you're seeing is proven in their financials, even at this stage, early stage still, for what their long-term goals are. It's sustainable, it's profitable, it's kept them more steady than has Sony, in even in very suspect times with financials across different gaming companies. And they're able to use a lot of that money and invest in other companies and stuff for content. And not only that, but you're able to focus more on quality, right? Get devs more time, because you're less relying on return on investment on one specific game based on its sales. It's more about engagement and how many people you're bringing to the service. That's what mobile gaming is. Mobile gaming is free for a lot of these games. You bring people in, and how do you get paid? You get paid based on the engagement, right? Whether it's ads or whether it's monetization of different things. Now, does that mean every game's going to be like that? No, because here's the kicker. You have to pay for Game Pass, right? But it's cheap. So is it going to explode and be as obtainable as like a free app across everybody's mobile platform? No, but it's going to grow and grab a large amount of that audience. And that's what their goal is, right? They realize there's 3.2 million gamers out there now. And there's only about
billion.
But yeah, sorry, billion. Did I say million? I meant to say billion.
Yes,
and it's only about like I think the most PlayStation consoles that sold was like 150 or 175 or something. PS2, I can't remember exactly.
The total console market's capped at 200.
So 200 million consoles is what your like most wildest goals could be for a generation, right? What about all the other people out there, right? These devices, the internet connections, the speeds, everything is getting better and better. It's making things more possible than it ever has before. So Microsoft's taking what their strengths are, they're taking what they know, and they're putting that in a way to break in to the market that Apple and Google has, right? And this is what their goal is. And it's pretty genius. Does that mean that our games are going to change? No, because they said they're still making hardware, people. They're still making dedicated hardware. You can at least get a console until there's no need for consoles anymore, period, out there. And who knows when that will be. But as long as you have the option to buy a console and they're making these games dedicated to them, like Avowed and Fable and Perfect Dark and all these different games that they're investing in. Elder Scrolls 6, you got Starfield coming. I mean, all these different things. There's no need to be concerned. I think people just hear that and like, oh, well, my Xbox changed into a mobile gaming company. No, that's not the case. And in fact, PlayStation's making a lot of the same moves. They're just behind what Microsoft is doing. And because they see the same future. As Jim said it himself. Jim has said it himself in multiple interviews. They're trying to set up the stage so people understand. And guess what? It's good business. Do I make a device that is only available, that I know only a certain amount of people are going to spend the money to acquire? And do I only sell things within that ecosystem that is already capped out? No, you go beyond that. And now that the technology is there to make it possible. And that's the difference between now and in the past. Before, this wasn't really possible. But now it is. Before, you would have to change. If you wanted to go after the mobile gamer or whatever, you would have to change into a mobile gaming company, because you'd only have to make the games that are capable of being played on a mobile device. But now, guess what? We can get console quality games and play them on a mobile device. Right?
Correct.
So that's the difference. Anyway.
And I think that's a great point, Mav, and that's the perspective I was coming with, as well as I hear Phil talk about this, that it's so important for Microsoft to create a name within the mobile market right now.
Yeah.
Because like you said, what we're seeing is content starting to cross over between console and mobile, right? We saw Genshin Impact, which is it's a PlayStation exclusive. And we got an article, I think 2 weeks ago, how upset Phil was that they missed out on Genshin Impact and what that could have done for them. And then now they are up their efforts in headhunting new mobile games from the East that they could potentially, obviously, going to bring to their mobile app when they come out, but also bring it to console, just like PlayStation did with Genshin Impact. That we're seeing this crossover because the games that are on mobile are becoming better and better. And Microsoft's future is obviously with xCloud, with Game Pass. It's about this accessibility, as Phil continuously says, on any screen that you're playing on. But you have to have a name. Otherwise, you're going to be building from scratch over there. Microsoft knows they can't play catch up 10 years from now as it transitions even more into smaller screens, as there's more players. As you just got them saying, we just got news this week from Stephen Totillo. Shout out to Stephen Totillo, great follow on Twitter. Record-setting numbers of people are expected to play video games this year. 3.2 billion is the expected number, even if the industry is expected to post a rare revenue decline because people are spending less money on mobile games. But the Newzoo predicts that recovery in the years ahead will happen. And we heard Strauss Zelnick from 2K say we got 20 more years of growth in this industry minimum, that he doesn't see it starting to slow down for 20 years. So Xbox knows that future that they're looking at, that all this money they're investing, having their games anywhere, well, guess what? You got to have a presence. You got to have your name out there. You can't be like a fresh face because, believe it or not, there's lots of people who don't play anything but mobile games. And if you have no presence within mobile, but you're trying to sell people like, hey, we got the latest and greatest, we got the next big thing, join Xbox, blah, 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 xCloud, they're gonna be like, I don't care about that. I got my free Genshin Impact. I got my free Candy Crush. I don't need any of that. Why do I need those games? So you got to create this presence. You got to create a name for yourself in that market space so that as you introduce more and more features, more and more accessibility, people get used to the fact that, hey, Xbox does do mobile gaming, and I've been playing some of their games on my phone, and man, I've been hearing about this Game Pass, and now I just found out that all these games have touch controls within Game Pass. Like I can play any game if I'm a touch control player. All of a sudden, I can have access to console type games. I can play Starfield on my phone with touch controls. Like that's going to be the eye-opening stuff that happens. And it's not like the distant future anymore. Like that might have been 10 years ago, a distant future where none of us saw this coming, but not anymore. We're talking about every year that goes by, it gets better and better on the mobile side and the small screen side. And Xbox knows this. And they know that's where their 2 to 3 billion people, the majority are, and they have to get in that space. They have to find a way to make a name for themselves that is dominated, absolutely dominated by Apple and Google. There's a duopoly over there, is what it is. And that's what they've been pointing out to all these regulators. Hey, we got nothing over there. We got nothing. We're just starting to build an app from scratch. We don't have a presence. And that's why they need King so badly. So this does kind of hinge when you look, if Xbox had the goal, if Microsoft had the goal of Xbox becoming niche like Nintendo, swimming in their own pond, and they were okay with everything kind of being capped at a certain number, and they were cool with their big sellers selling 20 to 30 million copies like Nintendo does, and that was what they did, and they made money off of everything that they did, then that would be a different story. But that's not their goal here. As Phil states in this interview, their goal is to become a global gaming company, which to them means we reach everybody anywhere that they're playing. And that they have the opportunity, if somebody is connected and somebody is online, on whatever screen it may be, they have the ability to connect to us and we can provide content to them. So they have to break into this space. And that's what he means about being untenable. Yeah. They have different goals and they have different dreams of what this is going to wind up looking like. So
it's you can't just have these same 2 or 3 companies fighting over the same like 200 million customers over and over and over again. You know what I mean? It's like it's got to grow. It's got to grow beyond that, and it already is in gaming. The thing is, people equate it to 2 different categories, right? Mobile gaming, console gaming, PC gaming. Console and PC merged last generation, kind of, right? Finally, more so, and now it's even more now, right?
Yep.
Almost every game launches on PC and console, right? And mobile gaming is starting that now, right? Correct. It's all crossing into one big giant ecosystem. But guess who's got the market share in this for gamers? It ain't console players. Everybody, as much as we want to think that we're the number one priority of these companies and stuff with gaming,
we're the cat's meow
because we're the hardcore. You know, we've been gaming our whole lives. We started with Pong, right? And still gaming today or whatever. You know, it's
No.
we're the niche. We're the 200 mil in that 3.2 bill.
Right.
And that 303 bill, it's a lot bigger than the 200 mil, right? I mean, it's just numbers.
And on average, that $3 billion is a lot younger than us
Yeah.
as well, which is the future. And that's what the companies have to look at.
And it's growing. Like Microsoft showed the chart, I think, and it was like the consoles were like this, you know, maybe even this a little bit dwindling down, and you know the PC was like slightly growing, you know, but then and mobile was like, you know, is like it's getting huge.
Mobile got Manscaped.
Yeah, you know, they did.
It looks bigger.
Yeah, it did. It had a significant growth, a lot of significant growth. So it's just like it makes sense to go after those gamers too, you know. So
it does.
Back in the day, that wasn't even the thing when Xbox was born. PlayStation was born. Wasn't that wasn't a thing? Yeah, I mean,
barely had internet. I was doing dial-up on the Dreamcast.
Exactly.
For God's sakes.
Yeah, and the mobile gaming started with Apple and Google really taking the forefront of it, and console have just been looking at this one like, holy shit, how are they making all this money? You know, Microsoft tried to get into the mobile game, failed miserably with the Windows phones and stuff like that, and now it's time to try this, and this is their best avenue because they got the superior tech behind this.
Yes.
I think, which they've been on the forefront with. Yep. So, Game Pass that's why they're spending so much money. People say like, oh, why would they spend so much money on all these developers and give such good value to people and give us all these games? And like, they're not doing it because they're like just trying to be good guys. You know what I mean? It's not charity. You know, there's a smart business decision on the growth of the company, what they're trying to do. And guess what? We benefit because they're changing the game. I'm not even going to argue against that. Regulators don't like it somewhat because it affects things like Call of Duty, you know, and things like that, potentially with changing hands. Consolidation is all a thing. But this is going to be a thing to happen, which we talked about before the Activision Blizzard was even a thing, right? Consolidation and gaming and how all this was taking place. This has already all been in the forefront because when there's this much more money at play, things happen. And they all see what the end goal is here. And these games are going to blow up bigger than they even are now.
Yep. 100%. It's hard sometimes because you think it's so far in the future and you can't see it ever getting to that point. Again, unless you've lived through it and you actually, and I got to put myself back there. But again, PlayStation 1 was like the first, we had the Sega CD, but PlayStation 1 was the first one to really bring discs to the forefront of gaming. Like now now we've even moved beyond the disc. Now we're beyond physical. Now we're to digital. Like we never had the idea that was ever going to be possible back then, right? That was like crazy talk.
Yeah, I was wondering if we're going to start putting our games on mini disc.
Right.
Not the GameCube mini disc. The Sony mini disc that they came
Sony
out with back in the day. I actually had a mini disc changer, like a bookshelf. I mean, it was awesome because you could actually record onto them and all this stuff.
Yes.
They had good quality, but anyway, the technology didn't really take off. But you always was wondering what are they going to put it on. I'd moved on from mini disc, thinking that they're just going to start selling games as like USB sticks, like little mini hard drives. You know what I mean? That we could put in there, and I thought that was going to be the future. And then I just put one big ass hard drive in there and just download everything to it, and that's what they ended up doing. And now we got SSDs in them, right? And fast ones, not just like really fast ones. And guess what? It's gonna get even faster and better in the future. Crazy, absolutely insane.
It is, and that's why the guys and gals over at Microsoft, they get paid millions of dollars to be futurists, to look into crystal balls and guess where technology is going. And that's how you get ahead of the curve.
I never foresaw though, could have foreseen a day and age where you didn't even have to install anything. You didn't even have to have any physical media.
Streaming.
Like back when Netflix started, it was like, oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? Because we all remember trying to watch videos when internet was in its infancy, trying to stream them, and it's buffering and all this stuff. Trying to think about playing games like that, like big,
Right.
huge AAA games. Like,
Right.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Right.
right. Yeah, this is never gonna be a thing. Yeah.
After trying to download a 12-song CD on Napster that
Yeah.
took literally all day. That literally took
Yeah.
almost 24 hours
Yep.
to get done. Like, I've been there. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Napster days. I miss those
Napster
days.
Yeah, those are fun days, man. Those are fun days.
Man, I had so
good-
many fucking disorganized discs in my CD book, you know, like
Yep.
just fucking random. I was like, man, I would have loved to have been a CD-ROM manufacturer in the Napster days, because you know how many fucking blank discs you're selling, like buying like 50 disc packs like all the time, dude.
Just like VHS tapes back
Yeah.
in the day, man. I mean, think about how many VHS tapes our
Yeah,
parents
right.
had taping movies off
Yeah.
of cable.
Or when you grab an old one, like a movie you thought from your dad's like collection,
Yeah.
and you put it in, and it was
wasn't.
labeled something, and it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was something
It
else.
wasn't that.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't Terminator 2. This is something else.
No, this is definitely not that.
This is something else getting destroyed.
That's not Arnold.
That's not
definitely not Arnold. Oh man, great talk. So we covered all of Phil's conversations there. Small one here, folks. Mav and I always like to throw these things out at you. If you didn't hear this week, I know a lot of people were looking forward to the Dead Island 2. It was scheduled to come out in February. We had some conversations about what games were going to move out of February. ACG, the great Jeremy Penter, of course, had put out on Twitter that he had heard there was games trying to move out of that traffic jam that is February. It's crazy. I called this. I said that Dead Island 2 was going to be one of the games that got moved. Everybody said, nah, it can't. 8 years. They're not going to move it now. After 8 years, what's the difference? Yeah. So Dead Island 2, they came out. Dam Buster Studios and Deep Silver put out a statement saying that it's been moved to April 28th, 2023. So just 12 weeks. They moved it. I think it's great. It gives it room to breathe. Mav, did you have any problems with this move whatsoever?
I don't care. There's too many games to play in February.
That's what I'm saying. I'm happy for them.
I don't want any of the Microsoft first-party games to get delayed. So anything else that can move out of the way later on, do that.
Yeah,
I think that would be wise. Dead Island 2. I mean, what was it delayed 0.01% further than it's already been in development
exactly.
time? So
What's
it's
the
like,
difference?
yeah, it doesn't matter. And actually, like, this game was just recently re-revealed to the public. Anyway, people kind of had forgotten about it. It was kind of like a dead game to them or whatever. And it's like, wow, this is actually a thing again, and it looks really cool, and it looks
People
really
thought it was
good.
vaporware,
and then we find out it's former the dev team is actually used to be like Crytek UK and all these. It was like, what? Like, that's crazy. All right, I'm down for this. Let's go. Looks pretty cool. So yeah, give more time, and we'll see the game when it's ready. And optimize, please.
Yes,
Optimize.
Take your time. Take more time. Take those 12
Optimize
weeks
it for consoles. That's all I ask, please.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's get into that then real quick. Another small one, Mav. We teased it earlier, but Evil West, which is a game that a ton of people are looking forward to. They came out with their recommended PC specs this week and then dropped the console specs as well as to what we can expect. So let me run through these real quick. I won't I'll just do the minimal configurations for PC is a GeForce GTX 750 Ti or a Radeon RX 460. Very, very low. I'm not a tech guy, but very low graphics cards as far as the minimum specs.
Mm-hmm.
And they said you're going to get 1080, 30 FPS with medium settings if you run that low. Those are ultra low. Those are like ridiculous.
And then the recommended is my PC, which is pretty low.
Yes, the recommended is a 1060 or a 590 with an Intel Core i5 or AMD Ryzen 1600, and there they said you're going to be able to get 1080 60 in epic settings.
Yeah.
Okay, so now keep that in mind, folks.
So that's
I wasn't going to read them, but
1060.
1060. 1060 is getting you 1080p in 60 frames per second. Well, they released the console specs. Xbox One and Xbox One S, 1080 at 30. To be expected. to be expected.
Yeah.
Xbox One X, 4K, 30 frames.
Everything sounds right so far.
Yeah, okay, cool. PS4, 1080, 30, of course.
Yeah.
PS4 Pro, 1080, 30 frames with improved graphic quality compared to PS4.
That was surprising, though, that the PS4 Pro couldn't get the 4K, but the Series X could. I mean, the One X could.
The One X,
Yeah.
the One X, yeah. That was surprising to me, or even why not 1440? I mean, like, okay. I never understand that. Again, I'm not a dev, so I don't get this stuff when they do this stuff. I'm sure there's an explanation right now, but whatever. I'm not hearing it. All right, so then we get to the current gen consoles.
Yeah.
Xbox Series S. Now remember, Xbox One, the VCR, is for 1080 30. The Xbox Series S, 1080 30.
What? Did they
Xbox
just like
Series-
move over the same copy?
Yeah,
without
like this
any
doesn't
enhancements, not optimizing for it.
Right. This is obviously built for, and we did get. I'm not going to read the interview today because I'm bored with the topic because we've talked about it so much. But the Evil West developer came out today as well and said the Series S is not holding anything back. So they actually defended the Series S today, and said that that's got no. The
Nothing
Series
to do
S
with it.
is fine, but 1080 30 really okay. Series X 4K 30 quality mode, 1080 60 performance mode.
Glad
At least
they
you gave us a
at least
choice.
gave the option.
Yes.
But based on the PC recommended settings is
Yes.
where we have the issue here.
Yes. The 1060, again, folks, if you're not hearing me, the 1060 runs at 1080 60 in epic settings.
And also, maybe we have some information, Pong, behind the scenes that somebody with the mid-level spec PC may be getting like amazing 4K 60 level quality and like epic settings here, and doesn't. I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, Xbox Series X 4K 30 quality mode, 1080 60 performance mode. PS5 4K 30 quality mode, 1080 60 performance mode. All right. Again, we've talked about this constantly. You know, from the people who know, the tech people that we know, and some of them are devs like 3-bit, so they do actually have experience working on this stuff. This really does come down to an optimization situation.
Yeah.
But the devs just aren't taking the time and resources before launching the game. Now, we've seen patches on plenty of games afterwards, Dying Light 2 probably being the primo example, because the dev said, we can't do it. That was one of the ones that started the whole Xbox Series S thing, because they were adamant that the Xbox Series S could not do what we were asking them to do. Well, less than 90 days later, we had a patch that proved all that wrong.
Yeah.
So from everybody that we know that has knowledge on the tech side of things and the dev side of things, this is seriously just the devs not taking the time or spending the resources on optimizing the game.
Which comes down to also the publishers, not just the devs themselves as well as
the publishers, which decide, the higher ups that decide all the stuff that the game has to
management, decisions, timing, production schedule, all these different aspects, decision making, priorities.
Right.
Issue for me, Pong, is who gets lowest on the priority list?
Right.
Console gamer.
Yep.
Again.
And we pay more.
And again. And again. How much do we like getting slapped in the face and fucked over here as console players? Because here's the thing, it's the I feel like there's some consumerism issues here, right? And I feel like we've ignored this for too long, right? Because respect the devs work hard, appreciate the devs for everything they do. We love the devs, they're awesome. Yeah, I agree with all that. But the publishers are the ones funding these and making the decisions on release schedules and all these different things, right? And when you put out the recommended settings on the game like this, and the next generation type consoles that we've all spent $500 on or more potentially, blow those recommended specs out of the water. When you basically drop and dumb down our experience to that experience on PC, you know what I mean? Of your low end recommended settings on Epic, that's just like a slap in the face. You know, it's a slap in the face because you're not giving us the optimization and the full potential of what the game could be. And not just this game. This goes to other games too that they're doing this. And I feel like it's a slap in the face because if you have a PC and you have a PC that's capable like a Series X or PS5, you can run this at 4K 60, no problem. Right? Devs, for some reason, just didn't, like, probably publisher issue, funding, time, whatever, priority list, didn't make it a priority. And guess what? We get a lesser experience on equally powerful hardware on console. Pay at least the same price, if not more. At what point is this not acceptable anymore? I mean, who has to, at what point is there accountability for this, right? People are going to say, well, just don't buy the game. The masses don't know this stuff.
Right.
They don't look into this stuff. They don't understand it. See the game. Oh, cool. Western looking game.
Care.
It's not going to matter. It's not going to affect the sales that much. And the devs, the publishers know that. 100%. So you get games like Gotham Knights come out there and it's a great game, whatever, but optimization was never a priority, right? You get stuff like Evil West come out there that it can run on a pretty low PC. Recommended settings on a PC is way lower than a Series X and PS5. But guess what? Our experience is dumbed down to that. But it seems like they just checked the two boxes: quality mode,
which I'm happy
performance
about.
mode.
Again, Gotham Knights
right?
didn't even do that, so I'm happy.
At least they did that,
Yeah.
right? We get the 1080, but you're still not giving us the full max potential of what the game could be. And that's where I have an issue with. And that's not, like I said, it's not just an attack on these devs. It's attack on the priorities that these publishers put on the console gamers and not prioritizing our experience because they think we're stupid.
And we can't raise the pirate flags.
Right.
If we could raise the pirate flags, nobody wants to talk about it, but that's a big reason why they don't mess with PC players.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah,
if we could raise the pirate flags, we'd have more respect.
Yeah, I mean, if this is a trend, you know what I mean, that keeps continuing this generation, and we keep getting either dumbed down experiences, I will move to PC eventually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, why continue to get screwed?
Yeah,
I mean, the Game Pass is on PC as well. I mean, like, you can play Xbox games over there, and you can play PlayStation games now on PC as well. And guess what? Like, you can do a lot of other cool things on PC too. The only issue I have, and the only reason I haven't ever been a big PC gamer is because I have a lot more issues on PC because I'm not a tech savvy guy. Tech savvy people, I find it very useful. Now, also, guess what? If I'm sitting in a different room in the house or I'm not in front of my PC, I like to play in other rooms. So there's other aspects to console gaming. It doesn't give an excuse to the publishers to dumb down the performance of our games and not optimize properly for the consoles. It's a decision, and it's giving a lesser experience than what they should. I just gotta say, I gotta call it out.
Yeah,
like
no,
it needs to be addressed. It needs to be called out.
It just can't become the norm. I mean, again, that's the whole thing. Like, I don't want it to become the norm. But again, shout out to the devs did give us an option, which is, again, well beyond what Gotham Knights offered. So I'm happy about that. And that's all I've ever asked for was just the option. But you're right, man. Again, we generally spend more for the games than the PC do. And we get the short end of the stick when it comes to the optimization and that kind of stuff. And again, we were sold certain things in this generation that these consoles were going to change the gaming landscape because they were closer than ever before to PC architecture, which was going to make it easier on the devs to do the same kind of things that they do on the PC on these consoles. And yet we've seen examples where that's just not the case. And so for me, I'm in the same boat as you, Mav. You already know it. I'm not tech savvy. I don't want to deal with all the issues that PCs come with. I like the convenience of turning on my console. But I'm not going to sit back and just say, when I see stuff like this and be like, oh, it's the price I pay for being on the console.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I get fucked for convenience.
Yeah. No. I'm not going to sit back. Again, maybe we'll see a patch. Maybe things will be improved.
Game development's hard.
It
It is what it is.
Right. It is what it is. So So no, I think it should be talked about, and I think more people need to talk about it, and there should be expectations set for console players, just like there are on PC. Again, there are expectations, some of them that people don't like to talk about, that the PC market has set for developers and publishers, that they will not put up with certain things, period. And they usually don't back down. So Call of Duty being the exception. PC players have told them no $70 games. Well, Call of Duty came out and there's a lot of people who purchased it on PC for $70, but those are few and far between exceptions. Most of the time, developers and publishers already know, don't mess with the PC crowd. They'll throw up the fire flags, they'll play your game, but they ain't giving you money for it. And I again, it's sad to say that because I don't agree with it per se, but again, that threat kind of moves the needle. Whereas us, they already know, hey, you're on console, you're stuck, you're gonna play it how we give it to you. That's just the way it is, and I just don't think that's right.
Like my console's twice as powerful as this PC, right?
Right.
But I will be playing at the same spec, whether I play on that PC or that console.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
No.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense. But looking forward to Evo West still. I'm trying to figure out a way to budget it in this month because I do want to play it. It looks fantastic. It looks, again, throwback to the 360 PS3 era. Absolutely looks like a throwback, not in a bad way, in the good way. Just looks like pure fun. I can't wait to dive into that game. I really can. Mav, you want to get a little speculation town real quick? Got another small one that popped up.
Let's speculate.
Let's speculate. All right. A lot of people might have missed this. Unless you are following somebody who retweets this account or know about this account and are following it, you might have missed this little blip. And not everybody talks about the stuff that Mav and I do. Mav and I like to go into different topics that people don't necessarily bring up or don't see during the week. But the Twitter account Lumia Italia, which has been famous for leaking things that they get out of the back end servers at Microsoft. Most of the time, it's Windows related stuff, but every once in a while, Xbox gaming stuff shows up in those servers. And this account has been around for a long time. Jez has talked about this on the Xbox too. He has confirmed that it is legit. He knows about those backdoors as well. That they've closed a lot of them, but there's still some ways that people have access through the servers to get information. Well, put out a tweet earlier this week that said, new game from Warner Brothers Interactive, codenamed Metcat, 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 size 43.43 gigabytes, Xbox Series X and S, showed up in the servers, Mav. Now, this happens a lot of times when they're testing different builds and that kind of stuff. These codenamed games will show up in there this way, but this is specifically from Warner Brothers. The details were in there. Obviously, full size was in there, 43.43. We don't know if this is the full game or not, but 43 gigs is pretty hefty. Got to be close to a full game, unless you're talking about like Modern Warfare or something ridiculous like that. What do you think, Mav? Warner Brothers. So we know we just got Gotham Knights, so this isn't Gotham Knights, right? We got Suicide Squad due. Do we have a date for sure, or is it just the first part of 2023?
I don't think we have a date yet.
We don't have a date. I think it's early 2023, I think, on Suicide Squad. All right, so we know Suicide Squad is getting ready, of course, from Rocksteady. One everybody's been kind of waiting on as well. But we also know that NetherRealm, Ed Boon and his team, Mav, have been working on not one projects, but multiple projects. And from the way that Ed Boon has tweeted, I would probably think it's probably 3 by the way he's tweeted. They've got more than one iron in the fire, to say the least. And we know that Ed Boon has teased that they are getting anxious to show something, but they haven't. He has insinuated that the next game that they show, the first game that they show out of all the ones they're working on, is not going to be Mortal Kombat, that it is something going to be different. We have discussed, I don't know for how long, how great it would be for Killer Instinct to be redone by Ed Boon and his team over at NetherRealm. We know Ed Boon loves Killer Instinct, but even throw Killer Instinct out the window, whatever. What do you think, Matt? Do you think this is Suicide Squad, or do you think this is Ed Boon special, or is this something that we don't know that Warner Brothers has been working on?
Man, it could be a lot of different things.
And it's not Harry Potter, folks, because Harry Potter's been announced,
Yeah.
so they wouldn't use a code name.
I feel like, I mean, just with the fact that it was using the code names and stuff, would make me think it was something that's unrevealed, right?
Correct.
So when I look at things that are unrevealed, I don't think Suicide Squad, or I don't think Harry Potter or anything like that, right? So we did a little digging, and based on the file size information that was out there, noticed, okay, it's interesting that we have that information, right, for a file size. So curious, what other games that had that same file size, right? And the last Mortal Kombat was right at the same size, like almost exactly, right? So potentially, now this doesn't mean anything for sure, but that would lead a little bit of possible credibility to being an Ed Boon fighting game, because if a fighting game is around that size from Ed Boon, they use a lot of the same like technology and everything behind it, I would assume. And maybe the new one would be roughly around the same size. I think MK11 was like 46 or 47 gigabytes, and this was or maybe 45, and this was right around that as well. So now this is not probably a finished product either, right? So that could obviously change as well. But if they're testing things, I would imagine that it's probably close to what the size would be, unless it's like a pre-install size and a huge patch. Some places do that kind of stuff too. So it was based on what we saw also from Ed Boon, because Ed Boon likes to tease and tweet, right? You mentioned some of the tweets he had, and one of them was like to responding to somebody when asking specifically about the next Mortal Kombat. Is it soon? He said, "We'll define soon." Right. So
right.
I feel like that would be like later, right?
Correct.
So we did know he had two projects, and the one project he, like you said, was new, something different. Okay. So I think that project is first, and I think that project is getting ready to be announced at some point. I think he's extremely excited about it. Hence how he acts on Twitter. He's like, I wish I could share, but I can't. He's made lots of different interesting tweets in the past also about different things. So based on the fact that I think there could be something ready to be announced, I would think this would also lead credibility to be that game if they're doing these kind of testings and stuff. I don't know how this stuff works behind the scenes, but I would think this was potentially Ed Boon's other game, and I have no clue what it is. It could be like the Killer Instinct thing we've all been wanting, right? It could be a different superhero take. It could be Marvel versus DC, which I kind of doubt that, but it could be numerous amount of things. Like the word disposables on there, like kind of led me to think Suicide Squad at first,
Yeah, so did I when I saw that.
What if it was like an all villains fighting game as well, potentially? Like really going deep with Suicide Squad? I don't know. Could be a lot of different things, man. I'm like been racking my head around it. If I was to bet on something though, I would bet it would be Ed Boon's other game. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same camp. And if the tags, and I saw somebody in the chat bring it up too, there was tags associated with it, capability tags. We don't know, obviously how accurate any of that is, but it was 4K Ultra HD, HDR10. They did list single player, optimized for Series X and S, were the tags that were listed underneath the capabilities.
There was no multiplayer tag.
Yeah, there was no multiplayer tag, but that doesn't mean anything if this is a test build. They could be testing, the single player part of it. Again, we don't know how accurate any of that is on there. We're just assuming. But yeah, I fall in the same camp. I think Ed Boon's game is going to be announced at the Game Awards. I think that a game from NetherRealm, the next game, whatever it is from NetherRealm, is going to get a lot of interest, no matter
Yeah.
what it is, even if it's not Mortal Kombat. So I think Game Awards is an appropriate spot for his new IP or whatever they're working on. So if that's the case, and they're testing it already on the servers, then we're talking about a 2023 release at some point, which again is perfectly lining up for the Game Awards announcement.
I think early 2023 too, because like
It
most
could
of
be.
his games when they announce, they don't
Yes.
release too
Yes.
long after that usually.
Correct. Yeah, correct. It could be a first half 2023 game that we have been unaware of, that they've been holding back. Again, Warner Brothers has done a lot of cost cutting and a lot of saving over the years. Yes, or through these past couple of years because of the position that they're in. The gaming division has been their one bright spot that they've kind of, held on to. Although we've seen the problems that it kind of caused. Gotham Knights took forever. Rocksteady's Suicide Squad's taking forever. It seems like a lot has been going on, but NetherRealm is the one place where it seems like they've let Ed Boon and his team kind of expand out and start working on multiple projects here. And I would not doubt, Mav, I would not doubt that they might have gotten exclusivity, an IP, whatever it is, whether it's Killer Instinct or something else. I wouldn't doubt that Warner Brothers would take a bag from Microsoft to do something with Ed Boon and his team, due to their position, due to their financial position and everything else that they had going on. It wouldn't be shocking to me if this is some unknown exclusive that we had no idea that Microsoft had bought. Again, won't know. We'll have to wait and see, but pretty cool to see this happening because there is something out there that we are unaware of from Warner Brothers at this point, which is really cool to see. And again, Ed Boon has been teasing something for a long time, so that's why I'm definitely in your boat that this has got to be Ed Boon's IP, whatever it is. It's NetherRealm's game, so can't wait to see. But thought that was interesting to bring up because a lot of people probably didn't see it. Mav, what do you got that you want to talk about? We still got some other topics in here, but what do you want to talk about, bro?
Let me look through the list, bro. We could talk about The Witcher. We finally got the day of the next gen update. One of my favorite things this generation.
Yes.
When these games get free updates to the consumer. Witcher 3, we're finally getting that next gen current gen patch update now. And that's, was it December 14th?
Correct.
Another game to play. I think it's on sale right now too, isn't it? With the so I think you get upgraded for free. So if you don't have The Witcher 3, if you're like one of the few people that doesn't at this point, I think it's in that Black Friday sale, so for ridiculously cheap. And
this is
gonna be amazing.
This is gonna come with performance boosts. Also, it's going to come with mod content as well. Much like we saw with Skyrim and Bethesda. So it's going to come with modded content. They are going to release a actual standalone version of it, I believe, as well, too, with the complete package. But again, as Mav said, the complete edition right now, I believe, is on sale. I picked it up last year, I think, for $10 or something like that when it was on sale, because I knew this was going to be my third and final attempt at The Witcher 3 as soon as this patch hit. So December 14th is the date. So
nice.
Can't wait, brother.
Yeah,
good call on that one too.
I want to play through it, but then I'm like, wow, that's also like less than 2 weeks after Midnight Suns and Need for Speed comes out. I'm already still playing Call of Duty and Warzone. I'll be playing more Battlefield season 3 then at that point too. I mean, dude, where does it end? The thing is, it's not gonna, because we got February. No. January is like the only one there's like a slight reprieve potentially. I mean, but there's still some stuff announced for January, isn't there? Like,
we got Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition in January.
God. This is insane. And February, it's gonna be nuts. I mean,
yeah.
It's gonna be interesting what happens at the Game Awards, and if we get some release dates for some of these like first half of 2023 games.
Give me a Starfield release date at the Game Awards, please.
Yeah. So I guess we can. If one thing we didn't touch on is the Game Award nominees. Pong.
Yeah. I did have that on my list too as well. Real quick too, everybody, while we're in short topics here, real quick, and then we'll get into some bigger stuff here real quick too as well. But for anybody who did not see, if you are looking for a Series S and you are in an area where Target is available, we talked about it. We were talking about Phil's comments. They dropped the Series S price to $250 for the holidays, $249.99. You can get that at Target. Target is also offering a $50 gift card to go along with it. So there's your $199 price point. You get it. So if you shop at Target on the regular and you use, again, the joke is when you walk into Target, you walk out, even if you went there for one item, you walk out with a cart full. $50 gift card. That means you're paying $199 for that Series S. And if you also have the Target Red card, which for people who don't know is free to do, you hook up your account. It's basically like a debit card for Target specifically. You use it, you get 5% off on top of that of your purchase. So now you're talking about $187 for a Series S. So either $199.99 or $187. You're talking about a steal for a current gen console at the end of the day. Like, that is unbelievable. So that I just want to bring that up to everybody because the ad did show up today for Target. So
nice.
Check that out. Yeah, that's one hell of a deal right there. And then, let's get into the video game, the VGA nominations. Oh boy. All right, here we go. All right, everybody. So of course, if you don't know, Geoff Keighley, he holds this little show at the end of every year in December, and this year it is December the 8th, Mav? Is that what Thursday is it?
Yes.
Is it?
I think that's it. I think that's right.
December.
I think
December
it's December.
Something in the chat will pick it up. But
Game
I think it's
Awards date.
Let's see. December the 8th, I believe it is.
Yes, December 8th.
Yes. So that'll be a Thursday. Everybody keep your eyes and ears open because obviously that's the night of PM and the PM. But obviously on Fun Speculations channel, we'll probably be hosting something with the family as far as a big to watch the Video Game Awards, live stream it with everybody. It's going to be fun. But Geoff Keighley holds this little awards and he brought out the nominations this week, which are always divisive.
Yeah.
Very rare do we have everybody in agreement with the awards, of course. So let's run through these real quick here, the major ones. I'm not going to go through everything, but the game of let's start with the game of the year. Let's start with the big boy. Game of the year nominations this year are Plague's Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and then Stray. Meow. Meow, meow. Okay. You want to talk about each one of these as we go through them, Mav, or you just want me to go through all of them?
We can just roll through them real quick.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. Best game direction: Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Immortality, and Stray. Meow. Best narrative: Plague's Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and Immortality. No Stray on that one, folks. No Stray. Best art direction: Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Scorn, and Stray. Best score and music: Plague's Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Metal Hellsinger, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Okay.
All right. I don't think we need to go through the rest.
Yeah.
Major ones. We got audio design, performance. I mean, we could sit here and talk about
They need to add an optimized category.
Optimize it category. Yeah. So those are the major ones. So we don't have to talk about each one here, Mav. But obviously, listen, first things first. I could care less about award shows. If you've been listening to any of my podcasts for the past couple years since I've been started doing this, whenever award ceremonies come up, personally, I could care less. I don't care about the Oscars. I don't care about the Grammys. I don't care about any award shows. They're all pomp and circumstance. They don't mean anything. It's a popularity contest most of the time, or it's some ridiculous thing where we're going to try to show how intelligent, smart we are, like the Oscars. And we're going to give it to some no-name foreign film that nobody ever saw that 5 people went to the theater and saw. Okay? Listen, That's what it winds up being. It's the glitz, it's the glamour. That it's an advertisement. That's what it's all about. And the Keighley's Game Awards are no different to me. However, that's personal. Business wise, for the devs, it is important. You do get to put these awards on your packaging. They do have awards within the dev studios. They have cases, trophy cases where they put the awards up. It is great to be recognized by your peers or by those in the industry called journalists, quote unquote journalists, that your game got recognized, that your hard work, that your creation was recognized. So from that standpoint, I understand. And again, that's why I even talk about this stuff, is because the devs, some of them have bonuses attached to some of these awards as well, which I think is utterly freaking ridiculous, as much as they have bonuses attached to scores, review scores. Utterly, completely, I would never sign a contract as a dev like that. I would be like, F you, take that out of there. No, I'm not going to have random people decide whether or not I get a bonus. Somebody's opinion, okay? But be that as may, it is still important. Man, what did you... Obviously, let's do this. Let's just do the game of the year. And again, Plague's Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and what else did I miss? Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Meow. Straight. What did you think overall about the nominations? Did you have any issues, like big issues with how Keighley presented it or how they went about it? And then what kind of stood out, either strange, good, bad, indifferent, whatever?
Yeah.
What was your overall feeling here?
I mean, I feel like, here's the thing. I love the Game Awards, first off, right? Because
I love it for the announcements.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I
Yes.
love that there's a big
Yes.
spectacle show at the end of the year where we can all watch and celebrate games and have big announcements to look forward to.
Yes.
And I
World
do
premieres.
enjoy seeing developers like get spotlighted as well, right? With things. But the issue I have with the Game Awards is the fact that it's trying to come across as a legitimate awards show. It's trying to be the Oscars or the Grammys of gaming, right? And to the public, for the most part, that's what it has actually become at this point, because it's like the most forward-facing watched award show in gaming. But this award show can never be an actual legitimate Game Awards show under the current format that it has. And it never will be, because they won't move it. But the only way possible for this to be a legitimate award show is if they had it in January or February, because the cutoff dates don't work. The cutoff dates for November, mid-November or whatever, just doesn't work, because guess what? Games that come out mid-November to December always get left out for the most part in the nominations the next year.
And I believe the cutoff date this year was the 18th of November. However, the voting had to be in by the whatever it was, the 12th.
So in order to take a game that came out after that, they would have to submit a change.
Go back and change.
Kind of like what happened last year with Forza Horizon, where Forza didn't get any nods for Game of the Year, ended up winning a couple of foregone conclusion awards, right?
Racing.
Yeah.
Racing.
So, and getting nominated in those, like, there's always going to be an issue. Like Halo Infinite wasn't a part of last year's Game Awards. Now, Halo Infinite, for all the problems it had over the last year, content-wise, had an amazing launch, right?
Yep.
Highly thought of. It's not in one category this year.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Like, not in one category for that. Like, now we all have issues with the content of, like, of what's happened with that game over the past year, but the game launched. The campaign's fantastic. The musical score, amazing. Gameplay, solid. You know what I mean? The graphics, incredible. The scenery, the narrative. I mean, there's bunch of different things you could actually nominate it for. Didn't receive one nomination across any of the categories, right? And it was supposed to be chalked into here within the Game Awards for this year. Doesn't work, right? Obviously, there's some kind of oh, we forgot about it as critics. We can't nominate it because guess what? It came out last year. The cutoff date doesn't work. The only way possible is you could do what the other award season. That's the reason they call it award season. They have it from like February to March, right? When the Oscars and the Grammys and all those things happen, right? Because you take into account everything that came out the last year when everybody's had a chance to experience all those things or watch them and get some kind of perception of what it was. Simple. So guess what? The awards don't matter. However, when you still see some of these things, it just makes you laugh because there's like no disrespect to Stray. I played Stray. I got a little bored with it. I didn't finish it. Right. Played at least 4 hours of it. I would say maybe 5.
So you're about halfway through then.
Probably somewhat. Yeah. And it's a really cool game. I like the game. Right. I think it's a good game. In no way, in my mind, and live, this was what was put out there for a lot of people. It's not just my personal opinion. It's a lot of people's. Is this something that would be Game of the Year contender? Right? Like, there's several games that had much bigger praise across the industry, way higher critic reception in the industry, had much more of an impact to gamers this past year that could be put there over that game. The rest of them I can look at and like, okay, you know, I saw that, whatever. And the only thing I can make me think that got this extra attention because it was day one on the PS Plus Extra. You know what I mean? And a PlayStation exclusive potentially, which again showcased some kind of level of bias there over some other games. But I don't know if that's what the case is. Could just be the pool that they had voting on this really like cats. You know what I mean? I don't, but I mean, I don't want to come across this as an attack on Stray. No. Like I said, I think it's a good game. But it's like, I mean,
to your point too, Mav, though, even with the journalists that they're supposedly voting on this, how many were still talking about Stray to this day? Like I never see Stray commentary like, hey, you know, we found some deeper meaning in this game, or this game has been impactful on my life. Like, you don't hear people talking about it still. And again, we all know that Stray is the throw-in, small, indie-sized type game that they always throw in with the big boys as as the token, you know, indie, smaller game, right? That's what Stray wound up being. But, you know, Cult of the Lamb is still being played and talked about. I see Cult of the Lamb Twitter, you know, tweets almost every day. Like, people are still enjoying the hell out of the game, talking about that game. Why not that, right? Sorry, I didn't
what about what about okay, so Pentiment had come out and I'm not talking about this is my personal Game of the Year awards or whatever, but but Pentiment came out, got 10s from so many different critics, right? It's just technically within the release window of when the awards should be nominated, but they had already had the nominees announced, so Pentiment just gets left in the dust. It just like what could have been potentially a nominee for best narrative or any of these other things, which you look at the contenders there and be like, okay, Elden Ring best narrative, right? Like, I guess, you know, where's the narrative within Elden Ring? You got to find it outside of Elden Ring, really, right? Like, and I'm not trying to criticize Elden Ring for that. I'm just saying, like, to put that in that category is really strange, right? So, like, you think of things that actually have a story within them to tell. Directly to the gamers in that sense, that's technically what a narrative is, right? So I'm looking at that as like, okay, so Pentiment not to get one, even it's got 10s. You know, 10s are hard to get from major gaming publications like IGN and all these different things. Like, it's just insane. So Pentiment is something that's not necessarily going to be for me, but like public perception and critics seem to love this game a lot. And guess what? It's never going to get accounted for because of the way that this show is formatted and the way that the show has the cutoff date and the voting process and when the show is scheduled. There's a reason that they do it. I'm not trying to say I don't understand the reason they do it when they do. Of course, we all know what that is. It's money and marketing and ads, and you've got the holiday season and Christmas coming right up and all that kind of stuff, right? So obviously it makes sense financially for them to do it when they do it, but when you try and portray yourself as the award show for something, it just comes a half like a half-assed thing when it's obvious that the system has a big flaw in it and can't be rectified unless you do the right thing and move it. So, but anyways, I mean, it is what it is. We don't watch the shows for that. I just have to watch it knowing that the words are bullshit, and I'm proud of whoever wins one, happy for them. But then I think about all the people that got fucked at the same time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it just kind of makes...
Who was your biggest snub? Do you have one personally? Biggest snub out of any of the categories? It doesn't matter. Just one that you like no way that didn't get it.
That's a good... I honestly haven't put a lot of thought into the biggest snub.
Okay.
But if I was to say the biggest snub, I would say Halo Infinite not getting nominated for anything.
Right.
And if you go back and you can criticize Halo Infinite, obviously, for the content and all this kind of stuff the past year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there is so many amazing things about that game.
Yep.
Like if you play through like the level design on the campaign and through the levels, that even just the dialogue and the chatter from the enemies, it's so fucking good and hysterical. Like the writing, the gameplay on the campaign, all these different things from when the game launched last year, which is, it doesn't get credit for, but in a game that just came out like a week ago because it launched within slightly before when people had to have their votes in, gets a nod. It's just like,
right.
It's just a weird system, man. And
it is.
Forza Horizon 5 I think got snubbed last year out of the game of the year category. I think Pentiment is a snub for a narrative based on people's perception. Because again, I'm not talking about my game of the year. If you're talking about my game of the year, then we'd have Vampire Survivors and Power Wash Simulator get nominated for stuff. It's like that's not what the awards. So that's not what people want to see. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily what's best. But I also think the other huge snub here is Grounded for best ongoing game.
Yeah, Spooky just asked Mav and Pong, do you guys think Grounded should have been in the game of year discussion due to technically releasing just a couple of months ago?
I wouldn't say game of the year,
No, game of the year, but like you said, ongoing game. Absolutely.
Yeah, or
there's
there's some different categories you could have in there.
There's
you could
different categories.
There's
Art direction,
the accessibility, and all these different things as well. Like there's several different things Grounded could have gotten in there for. It's got a huge audience. Technical release date was this year. It was in game preview before. But if they review games when it was in preview, which they did previously, should be obviously acceptable to be put in for awards as well. So best ongoing game, I think, would be something that they could have really looked at because it got a huge following and it's doing better and better and better.
Yes, correct. I think you're spot on as far as the setup. And we've talked about this again. You can think of what you want to of Keighley. I don't care personally, whatever. He's a net gain for this industry.
Yeah.
Okay. He has tried to do something that not a lot of people.
I still appreciate him and what everything he's doing, regardless of my criticism over the show. Right.
Correct. Exactly. Keighley has been a net gain for the industry. He has tried to bring the gaming industry, even if you don't like the way he's done it, he's actually trying to make the game industry more credible in the way that he's gone about his presentation. Now, what I will say is just like in movies, just like in TV, just like in music, there's room for more than just his game awards. And I think somebody else needs to move into this space. And I know there's the BAFTAs and there's other awards out there. I do get that. But what I'm saying is another presentation like the Keighleys, but takes a different direction. And like Mav just said, comes out in January, February. Now, it makes it hard because a big part of the Keighleys is the advertising money. The only reason why Keighley can put on the show that the only reason he can put on the show the way he does is because the money that pours in because of advertising, because it's the holidays, it's perfect timing. Again, he did that on purpose. But I think there's room for another company to come in January, February, and do a real game awards for the entire year, January or from December.
Yeah.
Well,
they do that, but they don't get any viewers. Right. It doesn't get any viewers. Right. Because there's no announcements that happen. And it's not really a for fan show. It's just like the for developers only show up.
Correct. And I'm talking about like a presentation.
Yes.
Like Keighley's, right?
I think Keighley could move it. I think Keighley could move it. I don't think he will. I think he could because obviously the Oscars and the Grammys work.
Yeah, they do.
And they should, like, there should be no difference between that and gaming, right?
And maybe
because, I mean, look at when the Game Awards come out. It's after the biggest games already released, right? I understand that Christmas is still here and people buy gifts a lot and all that kind of stuff. I understand that's part of it.
Whatever quarter this is for most of the game companies is the biggest quarter nonstop.
Yes,
I mean,
right. But most of that quarter's already passed by the time the Game Awards. I feel like they're at this point with because the Game Awards has established itself now, right, as something to look forward to, something where these big companies are going to reveal these big announcements and all this kind of stuff, right? The stuff that's like 2 years, 3 years ahead out, or even reveal new hardware, new consoles, all this kind of stuff. You've gained that. You've cemented it. That's part of the goal originally, to have the big announcements to draw in the viewers, right? So because they've gotten to that point, I feel like they would still get the viewers and they could still have the impact to the companies on sales and stuff if they moved it to January, February. It would be a risk. I'm not saying it would be 100% guarantee.
Yeah.
I mean, it would definitely be a risk, right? Because how many of the advertisers and stuff are going to be like, well, we want to sell our games for the holidays. But guess what? When they're selling them for the holidays, a lot of these games are like 40% off, 50% off, stuff like that.
Yep.
If you do January, February, maybe you still get people and they're not as, maybe they're buying them. And at that point, and Xbox only cares about subscriptions for the most part. So I think you'd have their support.
For the most porn.
For most porn. For the most porn. Yeah. The Xbox, I feel like subscription wise, where they're at trying to get people, they're always at trying to obtain customers. And I feel like the game releases are getting more staggered throughout the years now too. So it's not just like the holiday season is the only time where the big games come out. Like look, Elden Ring is the biggest game last year, and it came out in February, I think, or January or something like that.
It was February, I think.
Yeah.
February,
so
March. Can't remember. March.
I mean, I think you got lots of. Imagine this year if the Game Awards came out like in January or late January with February coming up. Oh my God, the amount of advertisers and stuff would be all over that shit for gaming.
Oh, yeah. This year it would work for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe what I was going to say is maybe the industry is becoming big enough now, Mav, if we get to the point where there is constant content throughout the year, that it would be possible for him to make up that advertising revenue moving it somewhere else. It might get to that point.
Yeah. It would legitimize the awards themselves. So it would help too anyway.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Again, I haven't played a lot of the games on these lists. So I don't speak from that point of view. I'm not the game finisher anyways. So I give general opinions on games because I graze so much. Here's what I'll say is I think that most of the games that you can argue for there, and in fact, most of those, I didn't think A Plague's Tale was going to be good enough to sneak in there, but it did, which I'm happy for. Happy for Asobo and the group over there that worked on it. But most of the games here can be argued for. Horizon Forbidden West, with all the issues that it had up front, again, still a gorgeous game. Still got decent reviews, but there was a lot of problems. But in this year, the lack of games, big games, kind of pushes it up there.
This was a tough year.
It's a really tough year. Stray is the one that I do have a problem with. Again, even though I'm excited to play that game, when I get a PlayStation 5, I will eventually play Stray. I was hyped for Stray from the beginning. From the first time I saw it, I was like, this game looks sweet. I can't wait to jump into it. But again, my perception, and it might be a limited perception here, and obviously it is, according to the journalists, nobody's talking about this game anymore. I think Game of the Years have to be games that are continuously talked about or continue to be popular. And Stray, everybody talked about it when it first came out, and then it just completely died off. And like I said, that's not just because it's a short game. We have plenty of short games that people continuously talk about no matter what. I just think there was more deserving indie titles out there.
And it's like they were trying to pick one indie game or something.
Yeah, they always do that. They throw in one small one. They always do this, which again, sometimes Hades won Game of the Year in certain circles.
Yeah, I don't see anybody arguing against that one though. I mean, that was
that was worthy, right? That was a game that people continue to talk about, and it redefined a genre. Roguelites became all the rage, and now we're getting a million roguelites. Vampire Survivors being one of them that just launched in a totally different form, but same concept. It put roguelites on the map, much like Elden Ring did with Souls games. And that's why I think Elden Ring wins this year. My biggest snub here, Mav, and this is a personal, and again, Grounded, I agree with wholeheartedly. It should have been in ongoing games. I couldn't believe it wasn't there. But I think my biggest snub for me personally, and this is a game I did play, and this is a game I actually did finish, so I can speak on it, but As Dusk Falls, Mav. As Dusk Falls, and I'm not talking about for game of the year, okay? Although I could argue that Beyond Stray, As Dusk Falls might be in there or should be in there. But I think As Dusk Falls, not getting in narrative, not getting one single performance out of that whole game in the performance category, and not getting for best music or score is utterly ridiculous. As Dusk Falls, whatever you thought about the game in those three categories, the narrative was freaking fantastic. And I didn't even play all the branches, okay, in that narrative. That narrative, if there's one thing people talked about, was that your decisions made a difference in that game, and it felt impactful when you made the decisions. Mav, you know, you played it as well. That narrative was very well done, extremely well done. There was multiple performances from actors in that game that should have been in the best performance category.
I agree with that.
Not to have one out of that whole squad to be in, bullshit, okay? And then the score and the music, some of the best music. I mean, that's all Psychonauts talked about was the music.
Yeah.
Psychonauts was all over it. And I agree with him. The music was perfect in that game. The original songs for that game were incredible. Like, awesome. I can't believe As Dusk Falls did not get more love out of this Game Awards. I'm very upset for that team over there. You know, and again, I put out a tweet underneath their post. They did get in one or two categories, I believe, but man, they should have been in at least 5 categories. As Dusk Falls was a completely unbelievable game. Now, Immortality deserves the love that it's getting. I've played Immortality for probably a couple hours, maybe. Didn't get into it as much as I did it As Dusk Falls. I think it's extremely well done game, interesting, and the acting is superb. It's movie quality acting in a lot of cases. And the actress that got in there, she is absolutely amazing, and she deserves to be a part of that performance. But I thought As Dusk Falls should have been in there for sure. But overall, again, I think there's more room for improvement here. I wish Keighley would change the format. I wish Keighley. The bias aspect that everybody talks about, there's a couple different reasons behind it. Sony has dominated for so long, just like Nintendo. Nintendo's won Game of the Year awards more times than not. So the Sony bias thing, listen, Sony and Nintendo have dominated gaming. Xbox hasn't produced a lot of Game of the Year quality content. So it's very hard to say that this is biased when it comes to these awards because Xbox really hasn't put them themselves in the position a lot of times to be in this conversation as far as last generation goes. And again, the Game Awards aren't that old, folks. So as far as last generation goes, Xbox came around, didn't have a whole lot to show for it. We will find out, Mav, starting next year, if there's a real bias. If Xbox's first party delivers like we think it will, and if Starfield is another Todd Howard highly rated game, if Redfall comes out and what we think is happening, where Redfall gets better and better every time we see it and becomes another arcane classic, and let's say that gets good reviews, and also Forza comes out and scores well, and then we got one more game at least from first party. I think there's more than that, but let's say there's one more game, and that scores in the high 80s, low 90s as well, and those games get snubbed for the Game Awards, well, then we could start talking about the bias. We can definitely start talking about the bias. But my point being is that Keighley, he says, I don't have anything to do with these awards. And I believe him to the most part, but if you don't think Keighley's not influencing his own award show in certain directions, you're wrong. And we'll find out where that influence is come next year as soon as Xbox starts putting up Game of the Year quality stuff. Then we'll find out if that's true or not. But I think Keighley has missed out last year not influencing the Forza Horizon, breaking through the glass ceiling for racers and being included in Game of the Year. He should have done that. And I tweeted at him last year about that. I said it'd be great for your show and great to prove that stigma against racers is not a thing. And that Forza Horizon, he should have influenced and said, hey, I want everybody to go back. I want you guys all to play Forza Horizon. And if you believe that this game is as good as what your reviews say it is, I want you to really consider it for Game of the Year. and I think he should have influenced it that way. Again, if everybody said, nope, it's just not game of the year quality, fine. But I think that this whole changing, we got to go back and change the votes because it's past this date and then people didn't have enough time to play it and just not enough people are going to go back and change their votes. I agree with that. That's human nature. You cast your vote. I'm not going back as a journalist.
It was going to waste your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not going to waste my time to go change that vote.
You send it in, it's done.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you imagine right now if all of a sudden KhAoThEory comes out next week or this week and says, folks, we've had a change of voting. Stray is no longer in there, but Pentiment is now in there. Like, that's not going to happen. No. That's just, no.
And the fact that they even revealed the nominees before that window had passed is fucking crazy.
That's really strange, and I don't like it. And that's what I'm saying. There's changes like that could happen in the future, and I think KhAoThEory should be. Again, I know he influences things. Again, there's obviously it's his show. He's going to take it in a certain direction. There's certain things that he will obviously say behind the scenes that we'll never be privy to that can influence. I think he should have done it there. But again, next year is the year, folks, where we can start talking about again. Of course, KhAoThEory is biased. Every human being is biased to some degree. I don't think it affects overall what's been happening these past gen leading into this gen. Again, I don't think Microsoft has put up the quality necessary outside of Forza Horizon, outside of Halo Infinite. Mav, you were right. Halo Infinite should have been in some of these categories. I think it was worthy for some of these categories for sure.
Score even, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's several.
Yeah, but next year with the big first party games coming out, especially from Bethesda, we're really going to find out where that leans. Because again, if those scores are up there, if all the journalists are loving it, Starfield, Redfall, maybe one more, Hellblade 2 Avowed, whatever shows up else next year, Forza Motorsport, if all those scores are up there, and again, Motorsport's going to be kicked out of the game of the year, it's going to be up for Racer, it's never going to be in the game of the year, but if all those scores are high and we don't see them at the show, then we can start talking a little bit, especially for the major categories. We can start talking. But right now, I just don't think Microsoft's done enough. Yeah. That's all, up to this point. Yeah. So
it just does seem like the snubs are always usually Microsoft stuff. So.
Yes, it does.
It is very interesting.
It does seem to lean that way. It really does. And I won't disagree with that. So, but next year it's going to be crazy. Next year is going to be insane. Like with Breath of the Wild 2 coming out or whatever name they gave it. I forget the name of it all the freaking time. But anyways, with that, if Spider-Man 2 shows up next year from Sony, if they actually get that out the door and it's as good as everybody believes it will be, and you got Starfield hanging around there, my God. And then plus probably 5 other games we aren't even aware of are going to be Game of the Year quality that are going to show up next year. It's going to be insane.
Next year is going to be a crazy year for the Game Awards. It's going to be like insane.
It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle if everything comes out right. All right, Mav. Good talk there as well. We broke down some of the Game Awards stuff. Let's see where we want to go next. What else you got on your list, brother? Anything else you want to talk about here, man?
Oh man. Well, we've been live.
We got the Embracer Group stuff.
Yeah, so the Embracer Group. There's Mick Gordon.
There's Mick Gordon.
So many different things to talk about. Well, we could talk about some of this tomorrow. As well on Xbox Ultimate. If you want to touch on anything, we're good. If not, we can move on and just talk about the rest of the stuff tomorrow night. Whatever you want to
do. We could certainly do that. Let's touch real quick on the Embracer Group stuff real quick here.
That's fresh too.
It's fresh. Yeah. Embracer Group had their financial reporting, their investor statements, investor call, I should say. They put out a big, you can actually download it. I downloaded it. Stephen Totilo put the link out there for anybody who wants to read through all the documents. I got to say, we see a lot of these financial statements and these investor call breakdowns, overviews from these companies. Embracer Groups is actually really nice to read. Like they do a fantastic job of putting it together. Because I actually started reading through this thing, and it's not like the boring like legal documents that we get out of like Microsoft all the time. Mm-hmm. Like this has got graphs and graphics, and it's like got all this pretty. The wording is in bigger print. It's like very easy to read. It's very nicely done. But Stephen Totilo and Derek Strickland, both on Twitter. Again, go follow both of them. They both broke down some different things here. I'll start with Stephen Totilo's breakdown here. We're not going to read through it because, again, it is a legal document. It's an investor document. It's like, okay, that's enough. So some of the main highlights, gaming related, from this document was Embracer Group talks about a mystery 6-year deal with several industry partners involving multiple large games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we think we know two of them, obviously. So we got Crystal Dynamics with Perfect Dark, and of course Eidos Montreal helping out with Fable. So also again, they recapped that Island 2 delay was till April 28th. Saints Row, of course, made by Volition, hit some of the internal numbers that they thought, but not all of them. Underperformed in some areas, obviously. So this is what we talked about too, Mav. When we talked about Embracer Group, I think I specifically brought this up on this show and other shows, but we talked about it. How would Embracer Group handle those failures? How would they handle a team not performing up to par? That was the big question with all these acquisitions and how big they are. How would they handle that? Well, we seemingly got one of the answers. Volition has now been moved into Gearbox. So Gearbox, good old Randy, he's got another team underneath his umbrella, and they're going to let Gearbox handle Volition. So they didn't necessarily, blow up Volition. They just moved it, though, to be underneath another publisher in Gearbox, obviously giving them a little bit more leadership, a little bit more specific direction, whatever the case may be. So that was a big move from them as well. They do believe their investments are going to slow down a little bit. Internal review underway may lead to spin-off companies, Mav. So again, internal review may lead to spin-off companies. They put this in the documents.
Are there spin-off companies that could potentially be acquired?
That's what a lot of people are thinking about, Mav. And obviously we talked about that plenty. Everborn, actually I should say Slow-Mo. Slow-Mo was the first one to do it on Iron Lords on the show that you were on, stating that maybe Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal was just parked in the Embracer Group garage until Microsoft can come pick them up to get in detail.
It's almost like Embracer Group is like a holdings company or something, almost, right? And it's like they're masquerading as a game publisher while they're still putting out games, knowing that the investment in gaming is going up, knowing that all their assets are going up and up and up, as a wise business decision, actually using these as assets and trying to strengthen the assets as well, maybe by putting Volition into Gearbox, realizing, hey, that's the way to make them most valuable as well. And potentially, a lot of this stuff has money in mind and not necessarily just, games, but you still talk about the games. There's a lot of cool news here, Pong. They announced how many projects they have ongoing.
Yes, they did. And real quick, Destroy All Humans 2 underperformed. Tiny Tina's Wonderland overperformed. Okay, so that was two bigger releases too. But then they came out and once again announced how many projects they have.
This is fucking crazy.
Okay, everybody buckle up, chat. Buckle up. Embracer Group has 234 PC and console projects due by April 2026. So 3 years and 4 months, basically, at this point. 3 years and 5 months, I'll call it. Under 3.5 years, 234 projects are due between PC and console. 25 of those are AAA. So nearly, not quite, but nearly the same amount that Xbox AAA has in the works right now as well. Embracer Group has that 234. Mav, what does your mind do when I say they've got 234 projects in the works?
234? Holy shit! That's what my mind does.
3 years. Let's do some quick math here, man. So we'll just cut it down to 3 years. We'll just say 3 years to keep it round. 224. So you're talking about what? 75 games. 75 games per year. 75 projects. Let's call it projects.
I imagine that some of these are going to get canceled, right?
Yes.
Let's say we're even let's say 25% get canceled, right? Still looking at like almost 200 games. That's nuts, bro. That's absolutely nuts. that is a lot of projects to have and to keep track of, investments wise as well, like how things are performing, underperforming, overdoing, and all these kind of things. How many of them were AAA again? What percentage? 20. You're muted.
25.
25%.
So just over 10%.
Yeah. So if 234 projects, that means nearly 60, right, are AAA, and that also means if you're to divide that by let's just say 4 years, okay.
Yeah.
That would mean that's around 15 AAA games a year.
Where'd you get the 60 from? Wait, hold on. No, 25 AAA games.
Well, you said 25%.
No,
right.
I said 25 total AAA.
Of the 234.
Just over
okay.
10%. Just
over
okay.
10%. Okay, 10%. Okay. That makes
10%.
sense. All right, so then that's still it's like almost 6 AAA games a year.
Yes.
Then still that's still insane, right? I mean, if you did the other one, that'd be fucking crazy. But sticks, that's still a lot, right? So that's
correct.
You're talking about a lot. That's just one publisher. That's the group. One entity with all the publishers they have underneath them. So that's gonna be pretty damn interesting to see what happens. Now, the question is, like, do these companies remain part of Embracer Group?
Correct.
Right? Still, or are they moved into separate entities and sold off to different publishers and stuff like that? And that's where things get a little bit more interesting, right? Now, obviously, there's money from places like Saudi Arabia and stuff that could be involved with this. We already know that they're looking to buy things as well. So maybe they splinter off one thing and sell them to Saudi Arabia, or whatever. But also, what was the other secret contracts or something they have in play? 6 years?
Yeah, 6-year. Let me go back to the exact quote. Mystery 6-year deal with several industry partners.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's a 6-year deal. They've signed multiple 6-year deals with industry partners to produce content.
Right. Is that content for them or them producing content for other people?
I would assume it's for other people.
Right. Because we're already seeing them do that.
Yes.
They also had talked about that, including Crystal Dynamics actually talked about that themselves, right? Talking about A Perfect Dark. Now, let's say that you did a deal with somebody like Microsoft and you're going around your wheeling deal and doing all these things like that. Maybe those studios are the ones that get split off and sold off to those companies.
Yep.
Right. Who knows exactly how involved they are with other studios and other companies. Maybe they're doing stuff with Sony with some of them. Maybe they're doing stuff with whoever, right?
Yeah.
But that's very interesting, bro. It's very, very interesting.
We talked about that too, Matt. We talked about this when we talked about Lars and Embracer Group, that they could become that content creator that people go to. Like when you're trying to fill holes, like Phil looking at Game Pass and saying, hey, we need a game here with this much coming out or potentially coming out. It's very easy to go shopping. They become a one-stop shop for whatever type of games you need, whatever you got going on, whatever holes you need to fill in your lineup. You just go to Embracer Group. Right? They're like a Target, a Walmart, whatever. Right? And you go, hey, I need that.
This is our first-person shooter category. Yep. This is our RPG category over here.
Right.
Action adventure games. Who do you need?
Yes, exactly. So this is exactly what we talked about was going to happen with Embracer Group, or the thought that we could have with Embracer Group. And this again, mystery 6-year deal with several industry partners involving multiple large games. Sounds exactly like that, man. That people are going to Embracer Group and saying, hey, we need this. What do you got in the works? Okay, take one of those. Take 2 of those. That's exactly what this sounds like. It's crazy that we kind of saw this. Now we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But again, that's what it reminds me of. And to your point about Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, absolutely. I see this as, again, the if you read the document and you read that their investments and they expect a downturn somewhat, they're not expecting as much return on a lot of the projects that they are getting into, that they will be looking for more investments here and there, but they're going to slow down their acquisitions a little bit. They're not going to completely stop. They did say that they're going to continue to look for good acquisitions. But then the value that we talked about with Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, what they got them for, and whether it was a gentleman's agreement or they just knew that Microsoft was looking at them but couldn't make a move because of ABK, and Lars said, hey, 300 million? Okay. We know we got at least one buyer that's going to be freed up here as soon as the ABK deal gets done. And we know that they're going to pay triple, quadruple, whatever we just spent to get those devs and the IP. It's a great investment. Lars has bought investments as well. There's no doubt about it. So there's no question that definitely could be the case. And Clobrio put out some quotes today from Crystal Dynamics as well, that everything is going swimmingly over at Perfect Dark.
I can't wait to see that game.
Yes, that they are having a great time making the game and they can't wait. That everything's going great over there, as to be expected, of course. Between Crystal Dynamics and
they talked about how cool like it was to see the teams being able to work together so well, and like time schedules and how how easily it's flowing. It's from their mouths, right? So
and what else are they gonna say? They're gonna say it's horrible? No, of course not.
We've really regretted making this decision to support this studio. Right. This game is going horribly right now, and we can't wait to finish it.
We're working for our old boss, and we hate him. So it's terrible.
We thought
this could be a trial.
I feel like it was honest, though. I feel like that he genuinely meant that stuff. So it seems like
it makes sense. Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. But all that stuff is just really exciting. I think that the potential is there, that the spinoffs, that this is kind of already in the works, that if everything goes well between Eidos Montreal and the Playground team and with Crystal Dynamics and the initiative, that Microsoft makes a buy, that they once the ABK deal's done, that those two teams would fit perfectly underneath the umbrella. And a little side note today as well, Legacy of Kain. Remember that the Embracer group put out a questionnaire about the return of Legacy and how people of Kain and how people, if people were excited for it. They got over 100,000 responses, including mine. I submitted one. They got over 100,000 responses, and they said, we hear you. Yeah, we hear you. So Legacy of Kain is on the docket, boys and girls. That's right. And if you haven't played Legacy of Kain, I can't tell you to go back and play it now, because you probably be like, what the hell y'all talking about? This is terrible. This is like old. It doesn't hold up. And you be right, except for the story. The story still holds up to this day. One of the greatest vampire stories ever created. But the fact that they did that and they got the reception they did, it's looking promising. That not only is Deus Ex back in the works, not only is Tomb Raider being made, but we might have a Legacy of Kain revival, which would be huge if done right. Can't wait, man. Can't wait.
Yeah. I think so. It would be really cool.
Yeah.
I have a question. Let's say Microsoft went and acquired Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, right? Yeah. They're already entrenched within Microsoft at this point and all that stuff. But if you're buying a group of studios from somebody like Embracer Group, why just stop at those two when they have so many more? Before, we had always concentrated on those because of the relationship from Square, those Daryl Gallagher, those studios working on Xbox projects. But when you're acquiring things, I think of it like, I kind of always go to sports and stuff with this. Like, deals are sometimes made with other aspects in mind. A lot of times money and all those things, right? I play a huge factor, and maybe it makes sense for Embracer Group to have one more studio included in this, or maybe it makes more sense for Microsoft that they have some other needs that they wanted to fill as well, because they're looking at this and like, well, we're exchanging so much money here. Let's like talk about what's all possible, right? Embracer Group has so many different things, and if they are looking at consolidating these things into other entities and stuff like that, why stop at just those two? I'm wondering what else they have that could interest somebody like Microsoft. And I don't know, man. You look at it and like Gearbox is pretty interesting.
Gearbox went to Microsoft first. Remember that they tried to sell to themselves to Microsoft, and Microsoft said, yeah, is Randy included? And Randy said, yeah, I'm not moving. And Microsoft said, yeah, no.
Maybe that would change potentially. I don't know. But there's lots of interesting aspects into the, like, what else do they have now? They have so many different things, dude. I mean, they have Lord of the Rings now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They got a lot of transmedia. That's exactly what Lars wanted. Again, that's why deals could be cut here. I'm right with you, Matt.
THQ stuff. Like they got so many different things. I can't even like for the life of me fathom like I'm trying to remember all the studios that they own now. It's a lot, but I would not be surprised if there was a deal in the future made like this that it didn't include more than just those two. That would be the obvious ones, right? But then also, you look at something like the Sony, maybe they go to Embracer Group and other things. Because I don't know what the point of splintering them off would be 100%, unless you're trying to make them more attractive and potentially grow on their own and potentially hold their own values, be able to be more easily acquired, right? So
correct. Nope. I 100% agree with you, and I could see it happening. Again, they could be a one-stop shop for a lot of different things. Lars could make great buys on studios, get them built up, release a game, and then turn around and flip the studio for a profit. He could be that guy. He could be the house flipper, but the dev flipper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Spruce it up, get things straight. You don't know. Again, with that much money that they have, and again, just to also put it in some perspective here, we got numbers on total employees for Embracer Group now.
Over 10,000.
With all their latest acquisitions. 15,000 employees.
Wow.
15,000, 10,000 are devs. So they got 15,000 total employees, 10,000 are devs, which puts them at the same size as Activision Blizzard. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
For a company that nobody heard of 3 years ago.
It's nuts.
Yes.
It sounds like they haven't done a lot of layoffs with all the acquisitions that they've been making.
No.
Right? They've
because
all
they
left
let all
everything.
the studios run themselves. Yep.
Pretty,
they leave
pretty
everything
impressive.
the same like Microsoft. Yep. It is. Wow. Well, that was a fast 3 hours, sir. We blew through that. That was very nice. That was very nice. Everybody out there, Expert, great to see you. RWK88. Xbox should just get Steam next if they would sell. I've said, long before I even podcasted, when I was in chats, I was on the Valve train.
Yeah.
That once Uncle Gabe is ready to sell, that Microsoft be first in line. Now, it will depend on the regulatory bodies around the world where we're at politically at that point, because that would get dicey. That would be something else. But it's certainly possible, and I think that Steam would be the final piece of the puzzle for PC side of things. Obviously, Microsoft would, oh my God, it'd be huge. Interesting. Tony Grasso still hanging out with us. Talos Ray, Spooky, of course. Infinite Umbra, great to see you, brother, in here as well. All the brothers are hanging out with us tonight. David Cohen, what's going on? Noof Nukem showing up in here. Good to see you, Noof, as always, brother. Marlesco, great to see you, my friend. Deccaddo is hanging out with us. Vik The CLiCK still in here. AB still in here. What's going on, everybody? Again, we appreciate you all hanging out for us, whether you were here for the entire 3 hours, whether you just jumped in, said hi. Appreciate every single one of you for hanging out with me and Mav on PM and the PM on a Thursday night. Now sponsored by Manscaped. Yeah. That's right.
And don't forget,
balls will love you.
Don't forget, everybody, get 20% off and free shipping with the code FUNSPECULATION at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code FUNSPECULATION. Manscaped, get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. Let's go.
Your significant other will love you for it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100%. But Mav, great show, brother. Got a lot of good discussion, and we covered a lot of topics.
We did. Yeah.
We did get through a lot, but we're going to have more. There's still some meat left on the bone for tomorrow night.
Like my balls.
Xbox Ultimate. Well, hopefully you got less hair on your balls, at least. Maybe you got more meat, but you got less balls.
Is that meat on the bone? Isn't that the definition?
You got more meat because you got rid of the hair. That's what we were talking about earlier, right?
Right. Yeah, it's true. Got more meat. I got more bone.
Yeah, you got more bone. More bone and more meat. That's what everybody's looking for, right? All right. Yeah. So, Mav, Xbox Ultimate. Do we have a time for this show? Are we going to be going on live at midnight Central Time? What are we doing with Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night?
Let's go. Yeah, let's do 10 p.m. Eastern Time, everybody. Let's move it. It's getting harder and harder to get everybody there at time for the start of the show on Friday nights. It's getting rough for that. So due to scheduling, just to make it easier on the panel and everybody, maybe it hurts our viewers. I don't know. I don't really try and concern too much about that, but I think it's better for the show to do 10 p.m. just for our panel and everything. So that's what we're going to do. So 10 p.m. Eastern Time, everybody, tomorrow night for Xbox Ultimate. Sorry, Marlesco. The only thing that sucks is for everybody in the UK and overseas. It's like I hate it. I hate that we go so late. But it's Friday night for a lot of us, and it, like, got to do what I got to do. So
you do got to do what you got to do. And Kaitlin says, great Christmas gift. As a woman, there's nothing better than your man having some smooth balls. I also don't have to floss anymore afterwards. I'm old enough. I went through all the years when nobody shaved. So I've been there.
Yeah.
So the flossing is real.
It's that's what does the flossing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You got the floss while you're down there.
Yeah.
It was, not good. Not good. No.
It's
we don't need to go back to that.
That's fun flossing, though. Regular flossing isn't fun.
All right, man. So what else you got going on this week, rest of the weekend here, brother, and coming up? What do you got going on?
Oh, geez, dude. Just more. So I'm going to stream some more Warzone tonight, everybody. So tune in to some Call of Duty Warzone. We'll be having some fun playing that. And then also we got Monday's Fun Speculation podcast, also at 10 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, everybody on the other side of the world. And also we got every Thursday this show. But yeah, more game streams and stuff, and sometimes put up little YouTube short stuff, just kind of poking the bear at interesting topics. It's a lot of fun. So appreciate everybody for tuning in and everything you've done to help our channel get to where we are today. So thanks, guys.
Awesome, Mav. Topaz Girl says classic hustler Harry. Yes. When I found my dad's stash, that's exactly what I used to see when I was a kid.
Tony says my hand will.
Tony.
Oh man.
Oh, so true.
Before you whack it, use the weed whacker 2.0.
That's right. Yep. Use the weed whacker.
This is actually
first.
for your ears and nose.
Yeah.
So that might be awkward.
Might be. You could use it in other places though too.
You think so?
Yeah, sure. Get those butt cracks. That thing would work better. Yeah. All right, we're going left. All right, listen here. We knew this was going to happen with Manscaped. We love you. Thanks for the support. Listen, everybody, it's been a great show. Again, it's amazing how fast this goes. It's amazing to see all of the familiar faces jumping in with me and Mav on a weekly basis on Thursday night. So thank you all for being here. Tomorrow night, of course, is Xbox Ultimate, like Mav just said, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, the new hours. So I will be there, of course, God willing. And then, of course, Saturday morning. Don't wait for, hopefully, my video tomorrow. I've been really lax on that because work's been so freaking crazy. But hopefully tomorrow morning you'll get my video. But just do it now while you're listening. Just set your alarm. Again, Saturday morning. It's Living Split Screen. Split Screen's all one word. Me and my brother from another Steel Rain are going to be there. We're going to talk all the stuff that we just talked about, but you're going to get different perspectives because Steel gets to come in, and Steel always brings something new to the table. And then I got to sit there and think about it because I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. But we have a great time. We get to chat involved just like Mav and I do here, and we're on mission 1K. So you got to set the alarm, tell a friend, bring your family members, right? Bring everybody. We don't swear a whole lot in Living Split Screen either, but every once in a while we get some swears. We'll go on rants. We'll have a good time. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, every Saturday morning, Living Split Screen, myself and my brother from another Steel Rain. Be there this weekend. And then, of course, Saturday nights, it's the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, who is another Fun Speculation family member. Actually, PTK is an honorary member as well because we share so many of the same people between our podcasts, and myself, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, and that just switched because of the time switch because PTK doesn't change. So 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central on Saturday nights, the Shop Podcast. And then, of course, Xbox Factor on Tuesdays. Got to be there whether I'm there or not, whether Mav's there or not, because it's Mr. Boomstick. It's Double Barrel Gaming. It's the best. It's all the good things green. He's got so many panel members to make sure that he's got a full squad at all times. Be there every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. And then right back here Thursday for another episode of PM in the PM, heading into the holiday season where we actually will have probably a couple breaks for us at least coming up on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, we won't be here.
Wait, next week?
Yeah, I think, right? Yeah, next week.
Oh, yeah, it is next week break. Already. Oh, yeah, never mind. Next week, next Thursday. Yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah. No, everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving. Have a great turkey day. Yeah, no PM in the PM next week. Yeah, so did I. I thought it was following week, but
Yeah.
I'm way
But
off. Yeah,
Pong,
it is
we
next
gotta
week
be
already.
here. It's Thanksgiving. We gotta have a thing. We gotta have
Oh,
it. You gotta eat with me on
no.
PM and the PM. No,
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 Okay.
sir. No, sir. I will actually be seeing my family that day.
Oh,
So
okay.
anyways, so yeah, no PM in the PM next
Yeah.
week. So anybody celebrating Thanksgiving, have a happy turkey day. Have a great time. Enjoy your family. You'll get a break from me and Mav, and then we'll come back the following Thursday and probably have a lot to talk about because we'll have 2 weeks of news, depending on how busy it is next week. We'll see what happens before Turkey Day. But otherwise, it is the golden age of gaming, people. Again, embrace your group. Over 200 projects in the next 4 years. We'll just call it 4. 200 projects in the next 4 years. It's the golden age, people. Things are happening. Things are moving. The industry is changing. It's fun. Glad you could join us. Play what you love what you play. Get out there, enjoy whatever you're playing right now. It's good everywhere. There's good eating everywhere. So have a great time, and we will talk to you on this channel right here on Thursday in 2 weeks. We'll see you back here. Mav, get us out of here.
Peace.
Love you all.
Bye.